one man who is a winner and who is absolutely.
Tell you something, brother.
Who are these people?
Notice me, senpai. Notice me.
Don't be rude.
Who are these people?
All right, welcome to Pro Wrestling Talk. I'm one of your hosts, Angel Rivera. Excuse me, looking at my phone alongside Miss Witchy Perfect. How are we doing this Sunday night?
We're doing as best we can. I'm slowly getting over my infection. I'm still kind of, raspy and stuff. And I tried singing yesterday, and I was like, yeah, no, it's not gonna work. So whatever happens, all I'll say is this is my personal thing. Don't go to doctors because they just don't want to cure you anymore. They just want you to be sick for the rest of your life. So,
and that's that because I'm doing okay. I'm just really hot. I hate being hot. It's muggy, and I was outside all day, so it's like, ugh. So yeah, it's not doing. I just hate the heat, but all right. So let's see.
I mean, it was so hot. Like when we were watching, they moved our fireworks to Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So Friday night, I'm with my mom, with my dad, and with my son,
Yeah.
and my guy, of course. Out on the porch, we're all watching fireworks, and like literally, I got bit up. I got mosquito bites all over the place. Let me just tell you something, guys. They love me. In fact, one time I had a mosquito bite on top of a mosquito bite right here on my little pinky finger. I was like 9 or 10 years old when that happened. So they love me, and I just can't get away from them no matter what I do. And literally, I had my mom had that Skin So Soft that's supposed to
No.
keep the bugs off of you, and it didn't work. Didn't work. Didn't work a lick because it just don't work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just bull crap. But yeah, I mean, let's go into these pay-per-views we've had last week and last night. We did Money in the Bank, or Money in the Bank happened. So
I watched everything on Money in the Bank except for the women's stuff because, sorry guys, I'm a woman. I don't want to watch other chicks jumping around acting like Circus Soleil people.
So all right. So let's see. But I'm going to quickly go over Forbidden Door. Probably less than 5 minutes because I'm not going to spend too much time on this. So pre-show matches, whatever. Kyle Fletcher defeated Serpentico by pinfall, whatever. The King of Black Throne. Kings of Black Throne. What the hell is that? Malachi Black and Brody King defeated Tomohiro Ishii and Kyle O'Reilly. Roderick Strong and Gabe Kidd with Guido, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett. And Private Party, Zay and Quinn by pinfall. What the hell is that?
Yeah, I don't know, but I just will.
That's a mouthful.
I will go back to Jim Cornette when he says Ishii and Malachi Black.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know who that 12-year-old midget was last night on who was it, Collision?
Yeah.
But wow. I mean, I'm a chick and I could break that dude in half.
Yeah, I mean it's just who Tony Khan likes. I mean, the smaller they are, the bigger push they get. And he was an AEW in the beginning, but they let him go or he left, and now apparently he's back. I don't know whether he has a contract. That was just one night only. I don't know. But
well, Jungle Boy seemed to get himself over just by showing him a belt. I saw that on X this morning. I was like, what in the world? Okay, whatever. All right, moving on.
Just stupid. All right, the next Willow Nightingale and Tam Nakano defeated Chris Statlander and Momo Watanabe with Stokely Hathaway by pinfall. Whatever. Mariah May with Timeless Tony Storm and Luther defeated Saraya with Harley Cameron by pinfall. The Lucha Bros, Penta y Cielo Miedo and Bray Phoenix and Mystico with Alex Abrahantes defeated Los Ingobernables de Japón.
Now, wait, was this the one that you showed me with Jim Cornette was talking about it? How dumb it was?
Oh no, that was the match. I think it was on. What was it? It was on Dynamite last week.
Okay, so we'll get to that.
Yeah, that was
Anyway,
stupid.
moving along.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Lucha Brothers. Okay, this is the first match of the main card. MJF defeated Hechicero by pinfall.
Hechachia.
Apparently, this was the best match of the night. So, which is the opening match, which is quite pathetic.
Only because MGF is kind of like Cody Rhodes, but not there yet. Like he's not as over. He's
Yeah.
over they have, but I mean when it comes to over, I mean that all they have is MGF. JF,
Yeah.
excuse me, not G. MJF.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the best match of the night allegedly. So I didn't see it, so I can't really give an opinion. All right, next match: the Elite, Matthew Jackson, Nick Jackson, and Kazuchika Okada defeated the Acclaimed Anthony Bowens and Max Caster and Hiroshi Tanahashi by pinfall. This is probably the worst match of the night I saw. I mean, everybody, people hated this match, especially with the Jackson boys. You know, with their fake shit that they always do.
Mhm.
So terrible. Whatever. Bryan Danielson defeated Shingo Takagi by submission. Okay. Timeless Tony Storm, the champion, defeated Mina Shirakawa by pinfall.
We
And at the
figured that was going to happen, though.
yeah, and what I saw at the end of the match, Tony Storm, Mina Shirakawa, and the other girl kissed again in the lips.
Ugh.
So that
Come on,
ended that feud.
guys.
That ended that feud. Hopefully, Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Orange Cassidy by submission. Okay, Zack
Yeah,
Sabre
I don't
Jr.
think we really
another,
cared about that because
another tiny dude, you know, who put over AEW by saying AEW respects the business, unlike other companies. Like, look, just take Tony Khan and sign the contract already, because obviously you're trying to do.
Wow. I mean,
Because
all I can go ahead.
WWE would never touch him because he's so small.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like they're getting guys that are smaller and smaller, and it's like these guys are never going to make it unless you put some meat on them bones, boys. This is well, it used to be the WWF, but it's WWE now. Sorry, I'm old school. It happens.
Yeah, I still do it.
But I mean, the WWE, yeah, they have guys like Cody Rhodes who are not as big as like Warrior or Hogan or I wish they would have treated Curt like they did with Brett, but it is what it is. Back then, they wanted big guys. They wanted, like people like Rick Rude and the Warrior and I mean not even like muscular Yokozuna. Yokozuna wasn't muscular. He was just you can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear you.
So Yokozuna wasn't really muscular, but he was a big guy. Like he was a big fat guy. They like those kind of guys because, that's just how they were back then. And now it just seems they'll accept anything as long as it's, a wrestler.
When Yoko debuted, I mean, I remember he was big, but he could move around. Like he could move all that weight around. I mean, he was even though he's huge, but he did super kicks and he did like how's a guy that big doing super kicks? But he was that good. Unlike the guys from today, just do move, and nothing. Zack Sabre Jr. is one of them. One of these little fuckers. They do all these great moves, but ask me how if I saw one of his matches, ask me 5 minutes later what happened. Like I don't know. Like all I know is one of those guys, whoever won, and that's it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he jumps around and
yeah, it's like the Money in the Bank ladder matches. We'll get to that in a minute, but ask me what happened. It happened last night. I have no idea. Either of those Money in the Bank ladder matches. So it's like I know who won, but that's it.
Yeah, we know who won, but I mean, I'm like, oh god, tables. Okay, ladders. Okay.
Oh, that women's
I was like,
match
can
was
we
ridiculous.
get out of the Attitude Era? I mean, that's all the Attitude Era was, other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. Excuse me, which was one of their biggest over guys. That was like the over guy, but the rest of them were just like, oh, let's do ladders, tables, and chairs. Oh my. And I'm like,
no,
can we not? Can we just skip it? It wasn't drawing money. So, I mean, I don't understand like why these guys continue to do their ladder matches when they just don't sell. They're not Shawn Michaels and Scott Hall. They're not, anyone else who was in a ladder match that's more
Yes.
prevalent,
All
or
right.
that people
So
that remember,
gets run through this car. Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katazuri Shibata defeated the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho and Big Bill, and Jeff Cobb with Ryan Keith by pinfall.
I don't like Chris Jericho. So,
Yeah, so
yay?
Samoa Joe's team won. And I think Shibata is the guy that uses the cell phone. Like he doesn't know English, so he translate once he said on his cell phone.
Oh.
I think that's him. Terrible gimmick, by the way. I mean, he should learn English, but I digress.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it is him because I've seen his promos. He literally just does this and then Renee puts the mic to the phone, and that's whatever the machine says. That's what he's trying to say.
Ugh.
It's not even funny. It's not even really that funny. All right, so let's get to the ladder match for the TNT Championship. Jungle Jackoff, Jack Perry defeated Konosuke take a shit. I don't
Take
know.
a shit.
Mark
Takeshita.
Briscoe, Takeshita, yeah, Mark Briscoe, Dante Martin, Leo Rush, and El Fantasma. So of course I knew they put the TNT title on Jack Perry. It is super obvious to continue the little NWO angle. They want to be NWO angle and whatever.
I think we had the other way around, but I mean, it is what it is. When it comes to AEW, I'm just kind of like, forget it. I mean, I don't even, guys. This is the first time, I will admit, this is the first time I have watched a WWE pay-per-view since the 90s. I mean, that, to be honest, when I watched Money in the Bank, and it's because I'm a premium subscriber to Peacock, I don't go around watching WWE or, and saying, oh, well, I won't watch AEW. I don't watch any of them. I watch old WWF. I watch old WCW. I watch all that old stuff. When wrestling was wrestling, and they actually did holds. They did wrestling holds. Last night in the pay-per-view during that ladder match, they did 3 wrestling holds. 3. I counted them. The rest of it was just, oh, I hit you with a ladder. Oh, I hit you with a ladder. I'm sitting there going, why am I watching this again? Oh, that's right. I got a show tomorrow and I have to know this stuff. So it's kind of like that with AEW, although I can't bring myself to pay $50 to watch complete shit. I'm sorry, guys. I can't do it. I can't lower myself there.
That's horrible.
Not to mention, I just got one more payment, or got one payment finally after like 2 or 3 weeks of not getting child support. I finally got paid again. So, I mean, my ex had to do a lot of moving because something happened with his apartment. Long story short, he wasn't paying child support. So I finally got child support again this weekend. So, I mean, I first of all, my bills come first. So thinking about AEW is not even a priority. The fact that I have premium Peacock and I can watch any WWE I want. Yeah, but I mean, I don't watch the new WWE. I watch the old stuff. So that's why I have a premium thing with Peacock, a premium subscription, because I watch the old stuff. I have to watch Curt Hennig's matches. Okay. Well, I don't have to, but I want to. So that's why I have Peacock, and that's why on my podcast, Curt Hennig was the best. I just dropped 41 on YouTube. Episode 41 for Rumble will be coming on at 9, so it'll be dropped at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do that just because Rumble, they have more exclusives. In fact, I just did. I'm just gonna do a really quick shameless plug.
Okay.
So on my Curt Hennig was the best. Changed my mind. Keep listening, guys, because I just recorded. We're going to watch along to when Curt took Arn Anderson's spot, and because of copyright reasons, and because there's some people who didn't like the parody that the NWO did on the Four Horsemen when Curt, took Arn Anderson's spot. So I'm gonna put that to Rumble. So it'll be a Rumble exclusive only. You get to hear not only the actual when Curt Hennig takes his spot in the Four Horsemen, but you also get to hear the NWO parody on Rumble. So, and then I rant for like 30 minutes afterwards why I hated Arn Anderson and why I thought that Ric Flair getting all butthurt about the parody. Like, if you ever heard Ric Flair talk about that parody, it's like, be quiet, Flair. It was called a joke. If you can't take the joke, take the stick out of your ass. It's that simple. But so that will be a Rumble exclusive. Look for that middle to end of July. So I've just recorded it and I have to record some other stuff first. So, but that will be dropping. And it's when I first watched it, to be honest, it was kind of like, why did he do it 2 weeks before he was? I mean, 2 weeks before he turned on the Four Horsemen, he joins the Four Horsemen? Question mark. I didn't know. I was 11. I was 11. So, you know, but
Yeah.
anyway, we're getting back to AEW. I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, it's fun.
But just want to let everybody know what's coming up on my other shows. We do a watch along to the Four Horsemen, and I do a watch along to the parody, but that will be a Rumble exclusive only.
Yep, so there you go. All right, so the next match is Mercedes Moné defeated Stephanie Vacker by submission.
Yeah, I thought I heard about this.
Yeah, I remember her. I want to make Stephanie Vacker, and then she proceeds to just beat her flat with her finish. So it's like, and then took her belt too. So now she's a double champion.
Oh, I don't think we predicted that, but then I think we just kind of went, I don't know. It's either or at this point.
Yeah, and then after the match, here comes Britt Baker comes out and returns after nearly 2 years of being away, and confronts Mercedes, and that's the end of the segment. Like, whatever.
What exactly were they trying to tell there? Is
I guess they're gonna feud. They're gonna feud next for the championships. There.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Because that's what's gonna happen, because they did a segment on Dynamite where Mercedes was booed out of the building, and she's supposed to be a babyface.
Oh, okay.
And Britt Baker talked about how she had a mini stroke, which is why she was out for so long. And I'm like, I'm not surprised with the style they work and how much they nearly kill each other. I'm not surprised she ended up with a mini stroke, and she's younger than we are.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
She's Adam Cole's girlfriend or
wife,
wife, whatever. Yeah, but they're together.
Okay.
All right. So the next matchup is Tetsuya Naito defeated Jon Moxley for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship.
And let me guess, Jon Moxley kissed him at the end.
I didn't see the match, so I can't really give an opinion. But I know, him dropping the belt, it's like not surprised. I mean,
everybody has a belt nowadays. It's kind of like, oh, you have a belt.
He won the belt in Chicago. Never flew to Japan to do a single show. And I think he had no intention of doing that, which is why he just dropped it here.
Yeah.
Which, like, why is New Japan putting their belts on Americans that don't want to go to Japan? I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know. Unless they have some kind of contract that they can still be champion even though they don't want to go to Japan. Because I heard a rumor that you don't make as much money as you used to in Japan.
No.
So
no, because New Japan is pretty much ice cold right now. So it's like they can't draw anything in Japan. Yeah. They draw more in the US than they do in Japan. I mean, that shows how bad it is right now for New Japan. Mm-hmm. But the main event is Swerve Strickland defeating Will Ospreay by pinfall.
Oh, wow. So they wanted Swerve to continue to have the belt. Fine. I do think that Will Ospreay or Ostrich will come back, and I just see like Ostrich winning, but not now, later.
I'm like, okay. Will Ospreay kind of admitted this during the press conference, press scrum, whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
he went to Tony Khan and is like, yeah, you gotta let Swerve beat me because I don't want people to think he's a transitional champion. So you buried yourself just to because that's basically what happened. He buried himself because it's like, why book the match first of all? If you're not intending him get the belt into Wembley, why you're booking him now before 2 months before the Wembley show? I don't know. And
Unless
then,
there is like another story that we need to tell, but I mean, let's face it, guys, AEW is not in business because of its storylines. So I'm trying to be as nice as I can here
Swerve,
because I mean,
he admitted
literally, what the fuck is that anyway?
that the only he wanted Swerve to beat him because he didn't want the perception that he was a transitional champion.
I don't
But
even
that
know
didn't
what that
change. That
means. What
that
does
didn't
that
even.
mean?
I mean, a guy. You put the belt on one guy, eventually he'll transition to somebody else, the actual champion, who got a long-term title run. Mick Foley called himself the greatest transitional champion of all time, so that's where that really came
Okay.
from.
I didn't know what that meant. And I just not to go off on another tangent, and I'll just make this real quick. I just heard an interview with Brett, and he was talking about how they were going to put him with Curt. And Curt had just won the belt, and then Brett's like, "Well, you're not going to change the championship right away because Curt's going to be champion for a little while. So I'm not going to face Curt. Let Davey do it because the first person to face Curt as he just became champion would lose. And
Yeah.
then, eventually whoever faces him after Davey Boy will eventually win the belt.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Instead, I mean, these guys, they're marks. They don't know how to protect themselves. If Will Ospreay should have said, we shouldn't have the match. Because if I'm going to beat him, I'm not going to do a job to Swerve 2 months before, I have to beat him.
Like
And you're
I
going to
said,
make me your top guy,
right. And unless there's a storyline in there somehow that we're missing, which I doubt seriously, like I said, they're not in business for their storylines.
No.
But
It-
maybe
no.
Osprey sees something in the future that could be done. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to throw ideas out here.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know
trying to
what.
appease the AWA or AWA. Oh my. The AEW fans and not trying to piss them off.
Yeah, it just didn't make any sense. They shouldn't even had the match. Swerve should have probably beaten somebody else. Why not book him with a Japanese guy and just let him beat him and move on? They have all these Japanese guys.
Now, when did he become champion exactly? It's been
February,
about 2 or 3 months, right?
February, because
So
they did it
about
in
4 months.
They did it during Black History Month, which was so painfully obvious why Tony put the belt on him.
Okay. So my question is, okay, so February's over. Not that you didn't want to have, a champion for what Curt was champion for about 6 months. 5,
Yeah.
6 months. And then he lost it to Carey at SummerSlam 1990 and then got it back after Survivor Series. By 91, when he hurt his back, he was champion again. So, like, he was
Mm-hmm.
champion at WrestleMania 7 and then lost it at SummerSlam to Brett. But it was because Curt was hurt. He hurt his back. So, so I mean, I can see it there, but I mean, I don't think I understand what the motive is here other than Osprey saying, "Look, I don't want to lose to him or I don't want to win, but I don't know. It's like the opposite of what Brett did. It's like I want to lose because I know I'm not going to get the belt yet.
I don't understand the logic. It's like
Ever the English
if
gentleman.
if Will really didn't want to beat Swerve at that pay-per-view and want to save it for Wembley, okay, fine. Don't book the
Mhm.
match. Let Swerve beat some random Japanese guy, that these AEW fans love, and
No, I
move
totally
on.
get that. Yeah.
Like
Um,
why book this match now? And it basically buries that international title that Will Ospreay has.
Intercontinental.
I was gonna call it Intercontinental. Yeah, so I don't understand why. This makes no sense. He's I can't.
I mean, this
No,
is all in whatever's in the mind of Tony Khan at this point.
Mhm.
I mean, I totally agree with you. I don't know what angle they're trying to go with, but it is what it is, and we just have to kind
Yeah,
of roll with the punches here.
I don't think there was much of an
Mm-hmm.
angle. It was probably genius Will Ospreay, bruv, who wanted to put over Swerve for
Isn't
reasons. I
he
mean,
from England though?
yeah,
He's the
bruv.
and ever
Mhm,
the old English
mhm,
gentleman. It
mhm.
could be that. Maybe he's just trying to be be nice and chivalrous or whatever the word is.
I don't.
But
I
that could be. Anyone's guess is what's in the mind of Tony Khan. Unfortunately, we don't know what's going on in that mind of his, so it's anybody's guess at this point.
Oh, look at this. It's Teddy Long. Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Teddy Long. Oh my gosh, I haven't heard that name since WCW.
Hold up, minute play us. This is Teddy Long. You feel me? You claim I am not, and that is because you two are not tag team specialists now. But listen up, dogs. All you want to talk about is WWE like that. I'll tell you what, tonight, right here on Twitch, it'll be a 2-on-1 handicap match against The Undertaker. Now, if that's not what's best for business, I don't know what is. Holla, holla, holla. Thank you for the comment. That's pretty funny.
I mean, I'm like I said, I'm trying to be as nice as I can with AEW. At this point, it's kind of like they're a side joke. They're a side
Yeah,
piece, a
it's
sideshow. There you go. They're a sideshow, and it's kind of like hard to like. Oh, I don't want to look. Okay. Ew.
it's
um,
unfortunate. I mean,
it's
I'm not
unfortunate they could be kicking ass like WWE, but I mean, even WWE has botches and mess ups, and it's kind of like over at this point. And I didn't see any of the matches for AEW, so I can't tell you if they botched anything or didn't botch anything.
Mhm.
Not to mention, I loathe AEW because they have such people as Chris Jericho in it, and I hate that.
Yeah.
I literally
There
loathe that dude.
in this match there was a spot which was horrible. Osprey and Swerve were kind of standing next to each other, and instead of attacking each other, they both decided to run to the corner to do some sort of spot, which they fucked up anyway. So I don't know what the hell they were trying to do, but it instead of
I rest
attacking
my
each
case.
other, they stare. They look at each other, literally look at the corner and run towards the corner and try to do some sort of spot, which they fucked up anyways. So I didn't know what the hell they're trying to do, but
I rest my case.
it was just it was a horrible fail. That's what I saw on X. I saw that little spot, like, oh no. It's like, come on, man. Just it's so painfully obvious. It's not wrestling. It's just they want to jack off and do moves for no reason. All
I mean,
right.
that's what Jim Cornette said, and I agree with Jim Cornette because it's nobody's watching it, and their reviews and ratings are literally showing that
uh,
people just don't want to watch this shit anymore.
Collision. We talked about Collision earlier. This last night's Collision got like 285,000 overall rating, and they
Overall,
got a zero point zero in the key demo, which is 18 to 35, by the way.
right. So
So
again, here we
nobody watched that
yeah,
young. Nobody.
nobody watched it. Everyone hated it. They're doing shitty work. They're botching things. Again, it's like Circus Olay. Only certain people go to Circus Olay. They're not going to watch the stuff. So, I mean, we're pretty much done with the review at this point.
Yeah, I'm done.
And
I'm
we're just
gonna.
we at least dedicated 28 minutes to it, guys. So
Oh
I'm trying
wow.
to be as nice as I can to our
What's
AEW
funny is
viewers.
I said I would spend 5 or 10 minutes on it, but okay, well we got through it at least. All
with
right,
with
so
my shameless plugs.
yeah, it's fine. So let's go to last night's pay per view. They call it premium live events, but I call them pay per views. It's easier for me to remember.
No, they are
So
kind of pay-per-views, yeah. And
I
like
don't
I
know why they
said,
call them PLEs, but
well, because when I saw on X, I saw that McIntyre had been the Money in the Bank winner. I went,
mm-hmm,
wait a second. So I actually like watched it and went backwards and then went to the live part of it. So
mm-hmm.
eventually it would become live. I just went back and I'm like, how the heck did McIntyre win this thing? Because it's ladder match. I hit you with a ladder. I hit you with a ladder. Guys, I watched three
Mm-hmm.
wrestling holds in a ladder match. And they did. I don't know how these guys do this shit on ladders. You cannot take a bump on a ladder and expect to have a long career. It just doesn't happen. That's why you have a wrestling mat. But they were
Yeah,
doing all
it's-
kinds of spots, and they were doing all kinds of bumps on the ladders. Guys really hurt themselves when they get into ladders.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's just but they do it every single year.
But
WWE
they
these
do it
Money in the
every
Bank
single year.
because WWE doesn't care. It's like, oh, the fans like it. Let's book these guys in it and expect them to kill themselves for no reason. Which ultimately, the reason is the briefcase to a chance to become world champion. But
Mm-hmm.
you
And
know they
that
could
Chad
justify
Gable
it that way.
swinging on the thing, I went, oh no. And
Yeah,
then boom.
yeah, he was like
I was
this,
just
and
like,
I'm like,
oh, come on.
you know what? Just grab it. Just do that. You
And pull
have,
it off, right?
you,
And
you,
now
you
you
have
won.
you have upper body strength. Just grab it, and then come down. You won the match. Nobody can do anything about it. There's no ladder there. Instead, he just drops and just falls
He
like
just
chest
drops
first.
and falls and leaves the briefcase there. Yeah, I know. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, come on.
Like you have
What
upper
the hell
body
am I
strength.
watching?
Just grab it. Because if you didn't have upper body strength, that's one thing. But that Chad Gable has plenty of upper body strength. You can very easily do that. And
Yeah, but he's a
before
short dude.
Oh
He's
yeah,
really
but
short.
it's just ridiculous. All right, well, the first match in Money in the Bank was the men's ladder match, Money in the Bank ladder match. Drew McIntyre defeated Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, Chad Gable, Jey Uso, and LA Knight. Yeah.
Right. Well, and let me just say, I kept going. Why are they doing a main event right now? Because I thought this was the main event. So I'm like, why are they doing a main event the first match?
Mhm.
They only had
Yeah.
5 matches, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. They only had 5 matches, and the Money in the Bank, men's Money in the Bank, was first. I went, what? Wait, what? I got to see this for myself. So I actually
But
watched the match, and I'm kind of like, oh, that sucked. Hey, I like Drew McIntyre. He's growing on me, okay?
mhm.
Let me just say, he looks like a wrestler. He acts like a
Yeah.
wrestler. He was all in. And, the whole thing with the, Chad Gable and swinging I'm like, oh, okay, boom. And I was just like,
That
yeah.
I didn't.
That's not real,
Yeah.
right? People are not
Yeah.
going to
That
believe that shit.
I didn't really pay attention to the match itself. It was more every time I looked up, they were doing a stupid spot. It's like
How
I
are
just
you watching
grimaced.
it?
I just grimaced. It's like whenever I look up from my phone, it's like,
Oh, you were watching it on your phone?
no. I'm watching it on TV, but I was looking at my
Oh.
phone for most of the match.
Did
Because
you
I just
buy it on pay-per-view, or do you have like Netflix or
I have
Peacock?
Peacock.
Oh, you have Peacock. Okay.
Yeah, so I watch it there. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it was what it was. And I knew McIntyre would win because they needed to set up that story with CM Punk later in the night. So I knew he would win, So it was like, oh, he won. Okay, that's so. I know what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, I was kind of glad he won. I just wanted to see what happened because I was like, wait a minute, aren't Money in the Bank matches supposed to be the main event? Yes,
No.
but maybe not. Maybe I
Well,
was wrong. So I was wrong.
well, they usually open with one. They open with the women's one to start the show hot, and then they move on.
Well, that
But
didn't happen.
they wanted it open with the men's because they needed to set up what happened later in the night. So to give McIntyre some time to heal up from the ladder spots.
Right. Well,
It was
I
only
didn't
like
really,
an hour, so
yeah, and I didn't really look at the matches. I just kind of went, okay, whatever. So I didn't plan on watching it. I planned on watching or like looking through X and saying, oh, okay, so and so won the whatever, and so won that match. Okay, so and so won that match. I ended up watching the whole effing pay-per-view except for the women's shit. I'm sorry, ladies. I have titties. I don't need to see titties running around and jumping around and doing circus delay. Okay. All right. So,
yeah, McIntyre won. I don't. There's nothing in particular about this match that sticks out to me, and so
except for I hit you with a ladder. I hit you with a ladder.
yeah, that's why. Yeah, because everybody.
And then the Chad Gable thing. I was just like, oh.
Yeah, that's the only thing that really stuck out to me.
Because they kept saying, "Oh, he's dead. He's dead." I'm like, I don't think he's dead, but he's not gonna have a very long career if he keeps doing shit like that.
He just Like he fell chest first right into the canvas,
Who
and then like
do
kind
you
of
know
rolled
who
out.
the other? Sorry to interrupt. Do you know who the other commentator is? He's married to Camilla.
Corey Graves.
Corey Graves. Thank you. Uh, find another guy, please. I kept
Uh,
telling this dude to shut the fuck up.
yeah, he's the he
Well,
does
shut the
play
fuck
by
up, will ya?
play. He does play by play on SmackDown, but he was
Okay.
Michael Cole's color guide for tonight. Yeah, he was,
Okay.
so
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I kept telling that guy to shut the fuck up. I was like, can I just listen? Can I watch the match without you going, oh my God? It was like having the ECW guys back again.
All right, so that match happened. The
Next
next
match.
match on the card was Sami Zayn defeating Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title.
Yes. And can I just say one thing before we go into this match?
Yeah.
He looks like his daddy. Braun Breaker looks like his daddy, y'all. I'm like, oh my God, is that Rick Steiner? Oh my God.
No, that's his son.
That
But
was
yeah.
so his son.
Mm-hmm.
So his son. Because they kept going, ooh, 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 in the crowd. You could hear it. And I was just
Yeah,
like, and
that's
they're
part
like,
of his
oh,
gimmick too.
he looks like Steiner. I'm like, oh my God, he's like a spitting image.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
part of his
God.
gimmick too. So that's why
That was like in our era.
they
Our
were
era was the
roofing.
Steiner
Yeah,
brothers.
yeah.
He doesn't look anything like his uncle. He looks like his daddy. What can I say about this match other than what the fuck was that? I thought Braun Breaker was awesome. He acts like his dad. He's second generation. He acts like
Yeah,
his dad. He wrestles like his dad.
yeah. That's why this match was what it needed to be. It was fine. I mean, it
It
wasn't.
was fine.
It's probably the best match of the night, quite frankly. You know, the rest of them were full of horrible botches and stuff. We'll get to that, but
Well, and you were saying how you didn't think that Sami Zayn was going to lose in Canada. It's kind of like the whole Bret Hart thing. Didn't want to
no,
lose in Canada, just like Bret didn't want to. So
no, there was no way he's going to lose that belt there because they're in Canada, one, and two. I'll say this: a lot of fans were upset by this match and the finish that he lost to Sami clean, but it wasn't really. It was if you actually watched the match, you realize that okay, Braun Breaker took most of that match. He dominated Sami Zayn.
oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh,
Sami
yes.
Zayn barely won on the skin of his teeth because Braun Breaker made one mistake and he hit his finish and pinned him. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like Sami Zayn took 90% of the match and just beat him flat. That's not what happened.
No, that's not what happened. You saw Braun Breaker's talent. It was talent beyond talent. And that's because he's second generation, guys.
That's the whole point.
He's like Curt. He's like Bret. He's like all the other second generation guys that came up through the ranks. And, give his dad credit. I didn't like his dad. I didn't like his uncle. But they were great wrestlers because they were college wrestlers, they were amateur wrestlers, college wrestlers, and they came up in the ranks. They didn't stay in WWE too long, but they were in WCW. But the one thing I will say that I said to my man, because him and I were watching it last night, we were both watching the pay-per-view last night, and I was saying how, I heard Jim Cornette say on his podcast that Rick wasn't really good in singles competition unless Scott was there. And I tend to agree. Without Scott, he kind of like lost. Braun Breaker, he is so good by himself. You could see the wrestling moves in the... Yeah, and he looks great. He looks like his daddy. He looks... the type of wrestler that you need to be to have those, and he did wrestling holds, wrestling moves. I was like, he's doing wrestling.
Braun, he took most of that match, which is why it wasn't. People were like, "Oh, it buried him." Like, no, it didn't. He took 90% of that
story
match.
To tell here.
Yeah, he took 90% of that match. The only reason why he lost because of one mistake, which you can explain that away by saying, hey, he's like 21 years old. I mean, he's a wrestling phenom, but he's only 21. He'll make mistakes.
He's only 21. I mean, he's got many years, guys. He's got many years. Rick Steiner, if you remember correctly, in the territories wasn't really well known. Again, until he was with Scott Steiner, his brother. He was better in tag teams. His son is completely different because Scott, did Scott have any kids? I don't think so. Scott Steiner had any kids.
No, I don't. But I don't know if he had kids, and I don't think he did.
But if you if you actually watch Scott Steiner wrestle, even when he was in the NWO, he was phenomenal. I just didn't like him personally. But I've watched Scott Steiner wrestle when he was in WWF. I watched Scott Steiner wrestle when he was in WCW. And it
Mm-hmm.
was phenomenal, guys. It was the old school wrestling that we all remember. Braun Breaker, just like his daddy, just like Rick Steiner did, because Rick Steiner's was good too, along with Scott's.
Yeah.
It was old school wrestling as we all remember it. And it was an excellent match. I love this match. I just didn't like the
Yeah.
ending, but there's more story to tell. There's
With Braun
more
Breaker, there is,
to tell.
yes. Because I'm almost positive, and I've seen this on X and other sources where WWE is so excited with Braun Breaker, they're ready to build Raw around him. Once they go
Yeah.
to
Oh, yeah.
Netflix next year. Once they go to
Uh,
Netflix next year, they're ready to give him the show. He's going to be the man on that show.
And
And
that's
he's a,
wonderful.
mm,
I think that's wonderful.
and
And I expect good things from him.
mhm.
I heard them say something about he defended the NXT title like 13 times or something.
He had a year-long run with the NXT Championship.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Because he
again, he's not
deserves it.
buried.
He's very good.
He's not
I could
buried.
watch that guy all day. And I
Scott
didn't even like
Steiner,
the Steiners.
Scott Reichsteiner had 2 kids. None of them in wrestling, but I guess
Okay, well, at least he had children, but
yeah,
it would be kind of cool if Scott Steiner's children were also in wrestling, and then they could wrestle with their cousin Braun Breaker, and
yeah, it would be,
kind of
but
bring the Steiners back. But I mean, hey, Braun is. I mean, he looks the part, he acts the part, he knows the wrestling because he grew up with it, him and his
mhm.
dad. So kudos to him. I
it
I
was a,
like Braun Breaker.
it was the best match of the night, and people like it buried him. It's like not every guy needs a Goldberg streak to get over. That's what fans tend to think these days. Not they have to be undefeated for 2 years in order to get over. It's like
Right.
no, they don't.
No,
Well,
no. How you get over is you actually show them that, hey, I am second generation. Hey, I did watch my dad wrestle. Hey, I was there when my dad was wrestling everywhere and anywhere. WWF, WCW.
yeah,
Um,
I rave. I mean, I'll defend that match. I mean, Sammy barely won by the skin of his teeth with his finish. Like it was like a Hail Mary pass in the NFL.
yeah.
That's how he won. And it not like he took 90% of the match and just beat him flat. I mean, that would bury him.
Well, it's
If
like Cody. It's like Randy Orton. Randy Orton is third generation. Cody is
hmm
second.
yeah,
So these second generation guys know what the hell they're doing because they grew up in the business. Like
yeah,
Curt, like Brett. Nick Bockwinkel was second generation. Greg the Hammer Valentine was
uh-huh.
second generation. All these guys know what the fuck they're doing. So just let them wrestle and let them lead the way. Because I guarantee you, if you let the second and third generations, show how wrestling should be, you will have a
yeah.
much better product. I guarantee it. You will have a much better product than what you have now. No wonder WWE is so hot. They're going to build up Braun Breaker. This is not burying
Yeah,
him. Yeah,
burying.
not burying him.
No,
No,
it's not.
they
People.
are literally going to raise him up and give
It's
him
like
that push.
they don't know what the word buried means. It's an old like territory definition.
Right.
When
It
they would just
means
and
like
they
you say you're going to give him a push and then you just back out on it. Brett was talking about this in his little interview. I'm not sure what year this was, but he was saying, "Oh, they're going to give you a push. They're going to give you a push," and then it was kind of like a joke, like, "Oh, they're going to give you a
mhm.
push." You know.
Yeah, it's wait, you're buried when you get beat and beat and beat and beat, even though you're supposed to be a top guy. That's you get beat without any offense or without an excuse or a reason why you got beat. You just got beat flat over and over again.
Here
And
is Hogan buried people.
mm,
Flair buried people. That's
yeah,
where literally he would fight people and not let them win. Curt was one of them. Who else
Triple
did
H
Hogan?
buried people.
Triple H buried people.
Ironically, now he's
the
he's the
click
booker.
buried people.
Yeah, He's the booker that everybody loves now, to the point they all call him Papa H. You know, that's how much they love the guy, the wrestlers now. But
Well, if I could just move to what I was talking about when I showed you on X, that little girl who was crying.
yeah,
That is me with Mr. Perfect. I'd be like, oh my God, it's Mr. Perfect. This little girl, bless her little heart.
yeah, it was.
She got to meet right before the post show of Money in the Bank. I saw it on X and I started crying myself because she got to meet Triple H, her hero, and she literally was crying on stage and he's hugging her, and his music is playing and he's hugging
Mhm.
her, and it was just, I said in the
It was
comment section, that's me with Mr. Perfect. I'd be like, oh my God. And he's like, saying to the mic
when
what you just said to everybody. And she's like, I want to be just like Triple H. I was just like, well, that's physically impossible, but that was so damn cute. I couldn't
yeah,
stop myself. I was like, oh
yeah, it
my
was
God.
nice. I mean, it's that was the best match of the night. It's not going to get any better. It'll get much worse, in fact. So, unfortunately, because it's like, would I put the belts on Braun Breaker? I think I predicted he would win, or I don't remember what my prediction was, but it was last
Uh,
week. But
I think it was still up in the air. I think maybe you or I said Sami Zayn. I couldn't
yeah,
see Sami Zayn losing in Canada. It's kind of like Brett. Like,
yeah,
I can't see Brett losing in Canada
and
because that was his home turf.
the one thing about Sami Zayn and his little buddy Kevin Owens, they're good politicians. I mean, they'll get what they want. You know, they're good politicians, a backstage politician. I mean, they're not.
Right.
Jim
But
Cornette told stories about them when he was in Ring of Honor. Like, oh, these fuckers, man, I'm sick of these two. They would constantly complain about everything that he booked. I mean, whatever
right.
he booked wasn't good enough for them. It's like oh, these two little fuck. Kevin
Well,
Steen, that fat fuck, and El Generico, Sami Zayn. He was a masked guy who was mute in Ring of Honor. So it was like,
well,
yeah,
here's
but
what I think about this. Let's not. Okay, so burying somebody
burying.
just means that, like, you beat them and then they fall back down the card, and
Yeah.
they're not as high up as they should be. You could say that Curt was buried like that. Brett was sort of buried like that after a certain point. And
Summer.
then you could, I mean, yeah, you could. There's a lot of guys that got
I could get
buried.
into Brett because what
Um,
Hogan did to him, not there's 3 times probably Hogan fucked him. The first time at
right, but he didn't
SummerSlam
get pushed down the
'93.
card,
No,
not like
no,
Curt did.
yeah. I mean SummerSlam '93 though. Like I'll go over this real quick. Hogan, Brett dropped the belt to Yokozuna at
Right,
WrestleMania 9. This whole
right.
drama, and
Hmm.
then Hogan comes out. Basically, he politicked to Vince. I could get the belt, because I'm the top guy here, and
Right,
because at that point, if you guys remember, earlier in that night, Hogan and Brutus Beefcake wrestled for the tag team title. So
right.
Vince was
With
ready
Money
to,
Inc.
yeah, to move him back down the card a little bit after like
Hmm.
10 years on top, nearly 10 years on top. He's moving him back down the card, and Hogan, like, of course, he's like, well, I don't want the tag team belts. I want the
Yeah,
world. And he threatened to leave and blah, blah, blah. And Vince, okay, let's put the belts on him. And the story was that Hogan would drop the belt back to Brett at SummerSlam '93.
right, and that didn't
That was the
happen.
big main event that was
Right.
Vince had in his mind.
Yeah,
That
because
way
they
he
had
would,
those pictures. Remember, Brett was
yeah,
talking about those
Brett,
pictures of him and Hogan pulling the belt on each side.
yeah.
Yeah,
Nobody ever
no one ever got to see those.
this poster never came out, but according to Brett, there are pictures of him and Hogan, kind of
Hmm.
like battling over the belt, and that's supposed to be the poster picture for SummerSlam '93, which was the original main event that was planned. But Hogan backed out, and and then at least according to Brett, Vince told him, well, he doesn't think that you're on his level, and blah blah blah. We're gonna drop it
Which
to
is the same thing he said
Yokozuna.
about Curt in '89.
Yeah,
And then Curt got pushed back down the card.
yeah. So instead, we're gonna drop it to Yokozuna at King of the Ring, which would be Hogan's last appearance in WWF for nearly 10 years, but
Right.
because he went to
Right.
WCW, but.
Right.
Yeah, so he screwed Brett that one time. There were at least 2 other times in WCW when he screwed Brett too out of main event pushes.
And
But
he would continue to screw Brett.
Kurt Curt Hennig
yeah.
too. He fucked Curt. Yeah.
Because not only did he 3 months after the West Texas Rednecks came out, he said that doesn't work for me, brother. So I mean, Curt doesn't say it out loud. He just says a guy with blonde hair said that doesn't work for me, brother. Well, we all know who that is.
Yeah.
So he fucked Curt on that. He fucked Curt on the whole Goldberg thing.
Mhm.
Eric Bischoff did that and then pushed him right back down the card again. So I mean, second generation guys, they took a lot of shit for what they had to endure. Because if
Well,
that were me, I'd be like, look, I'm second generation. I know what the fuck I'm doing. Hogan doesn't.
Well, in modern wrestling, there's no better master politician than Hulk Hogan in
Ugh.
wrestling. I mean,
You can say that again.
which is why if you pissed off Hogan in any way, you might as well just pick up your bags and leave the company or the territory.
Yep. Because they would bury you in a second.
Yep, you'll get buried. And but yeah, let's get to the rest of this pay per view, which was garbage. I mean, let's just keep it real. Damian Priest.
But I do see, if I could just say one more thing.
Yeah.
I
Go
do
ahead.
see great things for Braun Breaker, and
I do too.
I can't wait to see what they have in store for him next time.
Because after that match, he looked furious that he lost, so because he's been beating up Ricochet and Ilya Dragunov and some of these other smaller guys for a few weeks now.
But
and
everybody knows his name. You get your name, you get recognition, you get over.
Yeah, I mean they've taken care of Ron Breaker and they've gotten him over. I mean he's getting good pops on live television on pay-per-views. And when Sami Zayn won, it was like, okay, I see what they did, and I thought it was a good match. And then all of a sudden, I look on X and like, what? People hated the match and they thought Braun Breaker was buried. Did they see the same match I did? No, they didn't. I don't think.
I think they think automatically if he doesn't win because he's been so over this whole time, beating up this guy, beating up that guy, because he's so over, and they see the talent in him. I'm sure it's just,
they do.
I think they think, oh, okay, now he's ready for a belt. Guys, Curt was in the business for a couple years before he was even IC champ. So, okay, I get that you don't like Sami Zayn. Yeah, Sami Zayn is what he is. But again, guys, building up a story here. We're going to see more great things. Braun Breaker's not just going to go away now. No, he's going to be in the business for many years to come. He's only 21, guys. He's still young. He still has really that chance. And look at Cody. Cody's what, 30 something now? But how long was Cody in the business until he got the belt? So again, guys.
Years.
Yeah. So remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. Rome was not built in a day.
Cody had that initial run in WWE from 2008 to 15-16.
Yeah, what was his name? Something Star?
He was Stardust at one point.
Stardust, thank you.
Which he teamed with his brother Goldust, Dustin. And then before that, he was dashing Cody Rhodes because he was, a pretty boy. So Vince gave him dashing Cody Rhodes when he debuted in 2008 and 9. So yeah, and then he was the undashing Cody Rhodes, where he had a mask and he thought he was ugly. So that's a whole other thing. He would hand out paper bags to fans. Part of another gimmick he had. So he had multiple gimmicks.
The best thing for Cody Rhodes was leaving AEW. Thank you, Cody Rhodes, for doing that, because you would have not have survived. Your career would have not have survived.
Yeah, AEW, the fans turned on him because he thought he would be the top babyface. He's an EVP, along with the rest of the other moronic EVPs. He's the only one that took it seriously, So he's the smart one, So he was an EVP. The fans booed him out of the building like he was Cena. But I watched his,
I wasn't much for Cena.
And Cody was one of the few reasons why I would even watch AEW in the early days, because he was probably one of the better talents they had. Actually, in the early days, oh my God, was some of the talent awful. I mean, it's awful today, but it's even worse today than it was 5 years ago. But when he left, I was like, I can't believe he left.
Oh,
he left the company.
I kept going, oh.
He left the
Cody,
company
you've
that
done
he
your dad a
created.
service now. Now you can actually get back to what I was thinking is what will WCW? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. What will WWE do with him? If he goes back to WWE, just like CM Punk, I didn't think CM Punk was gonna go anywhere. But hey, look at CM Punk now.
Oh God,
Everybody's
he's
got
in the
his name in
hottest.
their mouth. Everybody.
He's
Sorry.
in the hottest angle in the business, arguably.
Oh my gosh.
And it's him. The hottest angles right now is Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, and what Cody's doing with the Bloodline. That's right. Those are the two hottest
And
things.
Braun Breaker.
Yeah,
I can't
Braun
even say the
Breaker's up
name.
and
Blah, blah,
coming.
blah, blah, blah.
He's up and coming, and he'll definitely be in that mix
I see good things. So, guys, Rome
the next
wasn't
year
built
or
in a
two.
day. Let's calm down. He's not going to be buried. He's not going to go back down the card like the other second generations were.
There's no
Hopefully,
way.
please don't.
There's no way. Hunter and Bruce Pritchard and Michael Hayes, they're all like in love with this kid.
I mean, he looks like Rick Steiner. I swear to you.
No, he does.
Just
I mean,
like,
he looks.
my God, is that Rick
He
Steiner?
looks like he look. I've looked at him, and there are times where I see his Uncle Scott, and there's other times where I see his dad. You know,
No,
it's like
I see his
combination.
dad.
It depends of how you look, where and what angle you look at him at.
I guess.
Yeah.
What was next? Was Cena next?
Was it? Because I know Cena came out, but I don't remember it was after this match or after the Damian Priest match, which is next, which I'll get to that travesty. But yeah,
let's do Cena. Let's just do Cena for Cena's sake.
All right.
So,
Well,
John Cena came out and announced that he's going to retire and yada yada. 2025 is going to be his farewell tour.
Yeah. He even had they have the merch farewell tour. You know, John Cena and. You can't see once I leave this store, you can't see me, something like that in the back. So I knew he was retiring because why would he have that merch if he's not going to retire? So his last match is going to be at the end of 2025. He's going to work a Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and his last match will be probably at the end of the year.
Series?
He said, "Yeah, but." My thoughts, look, he debuted in 2004, 2003.
Yep. And I wasn't much for him.
And,
sorry.
You know, I mean, when he first debuted, he was just
I've seen The Marine, and it was, he wasn't really much for him in Hollywood
He
either.
was a plucky, he was kind of a baby face, you know, he was just there at the time. Yeah. And once he picked up the rapper gimmick, you know.
I just remember the Curt Angle thing where he's like, "Wow, John, I actually met someone who is whiter than I am." I remember that ever since he said that. And I don't like Curt Angle at all. But I do remember that line from that. So,
and really early on, I knew that Vince had major plans for John Cena because he's having matches with Undertaker and with Kurt Angle and a lot of these top guys, and he's just debuted and he had a title match against the Undertaker. Undertaker beat him, and after the match, Undertaker shook his hand. I was like, yeah, he's going to be a champion pretty soon.
Yeah, he's going to be the top guy. One of the top guys.
There's no reason to do that segment, and Vince didn't have any plans for him, you know. So he did that. He became the guy, you know, the main event, whatever. He was on top.
You Can't See Me.
He was on top for years and years and years. It was like, even I like. At the same time, though, it was like, there was a period from 2010 to 2013 or 14 where it felt like every main event of a pay-per-view was Randy Orton, John Cena.
Yeah. It
was like, Randy Orton and John Cena are great together. They have good matches together, but like it felt like years in a row on pay-per-view. That was the only main event Vince knew how to book. It was John Cena, Randy Orton.
Yeah, I stopped watching after 2004 because I graduated from high school and just went, yeah, this is not for me anymore. This is not the old school wrestling I had once grew up with. Stone Cold was pretty much gone by then, and just a lot of the guys that I had remembered who I actually liked weren't in the wrestling, or they had passed away, or whatever.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like my kind of wrestling anymore.
trying to think. By 2004, Austin was. I think he might have been Raw GM with Bischoff, wasn't he at that time?
That was more like 2005, 2006.
What was he
Yeah.
doing then?
Well,
Yeah, I
he was
think.
still kind of in it, but then he was still kind
mm,
of out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
He
think
was more like,
He retired at WrestleMania 19. He had his last match with
yeah.
The Rock and put him over.
Yeah. And so, um, a lot of that stuff happened. I just remember 14 and 15 because that was during the Austin versus McMahon
Uh-huh.
feud. And by then, Austin, I mean, I love Austin when he was GM because I love when he comes
Yeah.
out. He was talking to Chris Jericho and he's like, "Is there anything else you could possibly bitch about?" Oh my God, I love that. I love it. I was like, I was laughing my butt off.
Yeah, I know him and Bischoff work well together on the mic. I mean, they were both co-GMs. You know, they would like go
I
back and forth
remember
to each
that
other.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was after 2004, but yeah, I mean, it was
Mhm.
good. I mean, so he was around, but he wasn't wrestling until like
Yeah, it
2007
was
or
more
8.
like he was the comedy relief and
Yeah.
GM. So, but and then I just stopped caring. Even though I wish I had seen some of Joe's matches.
He
I'm so sorry,
debuted.
Joe. I'm so
He
sorry.
debuted in 2000. I can't remember. It was this was when NXT was a reality show. They would air on Tuesday nights at 10.
Really? It was
Nobody
a
watched.
reality show? Kind of
Yeah,
like Tough Enough?
yeah, that's how Vince treated it initially. It was like a reality show where rookies would come up and they would have their WWE veteran, to teach them how to work, and that's where he debuted as Michael McGillicuddy. I'm like,
Well,
what
and
the
he was
fuck?
third generation,
I'm like,
so
what the fuck? That's Curt Hennig's son. He looks just like him. It's like,
oh
why are
my
you
god,
changing his
spit
name?
image.
Why?
Spit image, dude. Spit image. Yeah, like I'm so sorry, Joe, if he ever does see this. I'm sorry. I would have watched your career, but I didn't know. I didn't know you were gonna go into it.
Yeah,
Because I
he had a run, and Vince did nothing with him for years. They
uh,
finally, I kind of heard rumblings of making him Mr. Perfect Jr., which like, oh no, that's terrible too. Don't do that. They didn't never did that, but
Mr. Perfect Jr., huh?
yeah, that's like, no, don't do that. It'll just
I
kill him
wonder what
off.
Kurt would have thought about that.
Yeah,
Anybody got a Ouija board? We could ask Kurt.
uh-huh.
No, I'm
That
kidding.
would have killed him off. I mean, because then that would
Curtis
remind
Axel
people.
was good
Yeah,
because it
that
was like the axe, like his
yeah,
grandfather, and
his
then
grandfather.
Curtis, for his dad.
Yeah,
Um,
they that's when Vince tried a little bit to push him. They put the Intercontinental on him, and they gave him Paul
yeah.
Heyman as his manager. That never went anywhere. After like a couple months, Paul Heyman was gone, and he
Well,
dropped
because
the
Paul
title.
Heyman's not Bobby the Brain Heenan,
Yeah, they
and
gave him
Bobby
Paulie.
was suffering from cancer at that point, so there was no point in
Yeah, he
bringing
wasn't going to
Bobby
come back.
back. Um, ugh,
They
sorry,
tried.
Joe.
Vince tried a little bit around 2000 when he changed it. They changed his name to Curtis Axel. Seemed like,
I
oh,
would
okay.
have loved to have seen something with Triple H, what Triple H had in mind for Joe. Because I'm sure it would have been a hell of a lot different if it was Triple H than Vince McMahon.
Yeah, it would have been if we were 10 years younger and started coming up around now. Maybe be interesting to see what Hunter would have done with him.
I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Joe is in talks with WWE now that Hunter's taken over.
Possibly.
Maybe, but
I
he's
mean,
older than I am. I'm 38 years old, guys,
yeah,
and Joe was born in 79. I was born in 86.
so he would be in his
But
mid
hey, I
40s.
mean, his dad was still wrestling when
Yeah,
he was 44,
yeah.
45, 40. He was almost 44 before he
If
died.
he's kept
So, or
himself in shape,
45.
he
He was
could
almost
very
45.
easily come back. If he kept
Yeah.
himself in shape, which I'm sure. I mean,
And that's
I'm
like
not
a
sure.
Hennig tradition. That's like a
No,
Hennig tradition. According to Kurt. According to Kurt, it was a Hennig tradition to keep working out and do that stuff.
no. So,
So,
assuming he kept himself in shape, he could probably make a return. Have another run.
if
If
Joe ever does hear this, Joe, I would love to see you back on WWE TV, and I would watch you. I would buy all your merch
yeah,
because you're somewhere. Your dad is smiling about all this, going, "That's my fan." But
Yeah,
anyway, let's
I'm
go to
hoping.
the because we
Yeah,
talked about John Cena. Let's go
yeah.
to
Cena's
the Judas
retiring.
Priest. I mean,
Yeah,
the Damien
he'll
Priest.
yeah Cena will be fine. I mean, he'll have his last match. There's already rumblings of him winning another world title, which will break Flair's record. I'm like, no, don't put another belt on him. I mean, then that's just the
Didn't Randy
egomaniac
Orton
thing.
also break that record? Because I think
No, Randy is 14-time world
yeah,
champion.
and
Cena's
Flair was
16
also
time.
14.
No, Flair was 16. So
Oh,
Cena tied
16.
Flair.
Where the hell did he
Yeah,
get the other two? Oh, WWE, I should have guessed.
yeah.
Shit.
Hell, Flair to this day claims he won the world title 22 times, and WWE only recognized 16. So who
No.
knows?
Okay.
Flair claims he was 22-time world champion,
How
not
much has
16.
Cena had it?
16.
15? Oh,
16.
16. Okay.
He tied Flair a few years ago.
Well, if they
You know,
give Randy Orton the belt 3 more times, he would beat Flair's record.
Randy's more. He's around more often than Cena is. I mean, even
Yeah,
though.
yeah, that's what I'm
Hmm.
trying to say, you know.
So I don't think Cena would put a world title on himself this late in his career. Maybe the world title because a secondary world title. It's like, okay, here, break the record. Okay, drop
Right.
it a month later or something.
Well,
Maybe
and
that one.
the thing is, Cena can fall back on his Hollywood stuff.
Yeah,
He's
he
big
doesn't
in
need to wrestle
Hollywood.
anymore.
He's done movies now, like The Rock has done
Yeah,
movies. He's not like The Rock, like where Black Adams kind of ate his movie career.
which is why he slinked his way back into wrestling because he knew that he would be cheered. When he came back, he'd be a star again.
So I see good things for Cena in the Hollywood scene now that he's going to retire
Yeah,
from wrestling. So there's more yet to come.
yeah, he'll
But now
slink
that
his.
we go to the other match, which you
It
want to
was a
talk about
disaster.
this?
The third match on this card was Damian Priest defeating Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre
And
by
Drew
pinfall.
McIntyre.
Because so real quick, McIntyre cashed in and appeared towards the end of the match, and that's what made it a triple threat. Oh,
Right.
this match was brutal.
Oh my god. The only thing that made that spot good is the CM Punk coming out to screw McIntyre out of
The
the
third
title
time,
again.
which makes Damian Priest kind of an afterthought as world champion because it's like
This is
it
so
wasn't even about him. It was about the story they were telling in McIntyre and Punk, and
right.
Seth Rollins too, because Seth Rollins got screwed by Punk too.
Yes, he did because
So
now as long as I always want to say Judas Priest. Damian Priest is champ, he can't ever be champion. It's kind of like
no,
the if Austin had lost and could never become champion again as long as Vince McMahon was still in the company.
yeah. So they did. So basically, as long as Damian Priest is champion, Seth Rollins can get another title shot, which
Right.
is what's going to lead to Seth Rollins and CM Punk eventually having their rivalry because that's another story WWE needs to tell.
Right.
So
But
he screwed both of them.
But then you also had the big botch, and we have to talk about it because it was literally brutal. I'm sitting
Oh,
there going, "Oh my god, there's no kayfabe anymore." It was it Vince that always had this rule that if
I
you
talked
did
about
not kick out,
it.
it was done.
Yeah,
Okay, so all right, so we have Rollins does an arrow. Is that what he calls his
a
finisher? What the
Falcon
hell is his
Arrow.
finisher? A what?
No, it's a stomp. His finisher is stomp, but he did what's called a Falcon Arrow suplex, which is like a modified
Okay.
suplex.
Okay. So again, they have millions of finishers and everybody kicks out of everything. Okay. Except for
Mm-hmm.
the part where not Judas Priest, Damian Priest forgot to kick out. Oops.
Mm-hmm.
He forgot to kick out. Y'all saw it. I mean, the
Yeah.
ref made it so blatantly obvious. I mean, that's what's
Yeah.
happened to wrestling where you botch something so badly that they're like, oh, come on, that's not believable.
He forgot to kick out, which is
He
what
forgot
happened.
to kick out.
I don't care if people are trying to defend him, saying that, well, Drew McIntyre's music was mistimed. He wasn't supposed to kick out. I'm like, no, that's not true because the referee, the way he reacted, it wasn't like he just stopped and looked at the entranceway. No, he stopped and did this. It was a 2 count and he kicked out. Like, no, he didn't. He
No,
didn't move.
his elbow, you can see he's laying flat on his back. Nothing's
Mm-hmm.
happening. No shoulders are up or nothing. And this is
No,
what I was talking about in my one episode, my newest episode I just dropped. When I recorded it, the referee had to help Curt because Curt was struggling to sit up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the referee had to put his hands up underneath Curt and push him up. If you look, it's not a bad botch, but I mean, Curt couldn't help it.
Yeah.
Not Judas Priest. Damian Priest could help this. All
Yeah.
he had to do was this.
Yeah.
All he had
Just
to do
roll
was
your
turn
shoulder
over.
off the canvas. He never did. And the
No, he
referee
never
claimed
did.
that he did. The
Oh,
referee
he claimed
claimed.
that he did, and then Triple
Yeah,
H was
he
like, "Oh
looked.
yeah, that one was a
He
bitch."
looked because usually if the music was mistimed, what I would assume you would see is 1, 2, and then referee looked towards the entranceway because the
Right,
music
and he would
was
stop
playing.
counting.
But that's not what
That's
happened.
that's not what happened. No,
It,
he literally went like this and went like
1,
that, and I'm
2,
like,
and the referee looked at the
I didn't
timekeeper.
see him move. Not Judas Priest. Stop saying Judas Priest. Damian Priest. I'm so sorry. I want to say Judas Priest every time. Damian Priest didn't move. He did not move, guys. Nothing moved. No
So
shoulders, no nothing. You just laying
referee
there.
did 1, 2. Then he said he looked at the timekeeper and said he did this. It was 2. It was like, no, he didn't. Seth
No, he
Rollins was
didn't move at
confused. As
all.
like Seth Rollins was like, "What?"
Seth
He didn't look
Rollins
at his
mouthed,
face.
"Oh fuck off." Someone put that on X that he
Uh-huh.
literally mouthed, "Oh
Mm-hmm.
fuck off."
Yeah, I don't
So
know what.
even he was pissed. Even Seth Rollins was
Yeah,
pissed
I
at that
don't
point.
know what Damian Priest was thinking, or did he forget? Because Cody Rhodes tells this story years ago about Ted DiBiase Jr., who was also a second generation star or
Yes,
third generation.
yes. He was third generation, yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause
Ted
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 was
DiBiase's dad was also in wrestling. Yeah, so
mhm,
anyways, Cody tells the story on SmackDown. It was like a random SmackDown episode
mhm.
in 2010 or 11. It was a 6-man tag. Is like, and this is hilarious because of Vince's reaction to it. It's supposed to be a 2-segment match, the 6-man tag. It was Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, Sin Cara, and Ezekiel Jackson, who was a big black guy, this huge black guy with bald-headed black guy. And you probably never heard of him. I'm not sure if you heard of him, but versus Ted DiBiase Jr., Cody Rhodes, and Wade Barrett. They were the heels. So the whole point of this match was to get Ezekiel Jackson over. He would be the hero. He would
Mhm.
get the hot tag and beat up all the heels, Cody and Ted DiBiase and Wade Barrett, and just beat him by himself. Like, he's supposed to be like that Superman or Incredible Hulk, whatever you want to call him, hero.
Mhm.
Anyways, 5 minutes into the match, Daniel Bryan and Ted DiBiase Jr., Daniel Bryan drop kicks him, and in the corner he falls, and then he covers him, and the referee counts 1, 2, 3, and he
Oops.
had to count because Vince's rules, like, he doesn't kick out, you keep counting. You're not going to
Right.
bury my company and by
Right.
stopping counting. So 1, 2, 3, the match is over, and referee does this, and Daniel Bryan won the match even though he wasn't supposed to, and it's like there's confusion. Wade Barrett was pissed off, and Cody looking around like, I'm the veteran here. I've been here the longest. Let me go over to Wade and like, let's jump him. Let's get some more heat on him. And by the time he looked over, Wade Barrett's gone, and he's pissed off. It's like, oh shit. So they all kind of left like, oh, don't hurt us, and they all walked away. And
It's the same thing that happened with, and you and I saw this. I can't find this. I don't know what they did with this interview with Sergeant Slaughter, but Sergeant Slaughter, according to him, he was not supposed to win at the Royal Rumble. He was not supposed to be champion. The Warrior was supposed to be champion, but the Warrior didn't kick out.
Of course, Sergeant. I couldn't believe it when he said that. I'm like,
No, I
wow.
couldn't believe it either. I was like, wait, what?
So Vince wanted to do Hogan Warrior too, where I'm guessing Warrior would return the favor and do the job to Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, he was, allegedly Randy Savage knocked him out for real, which
Cole cocked him one. Yeah, that's because
with
Warrior had broken Randy's arm. Yes.
He knocked him out for real with that scepter, which is why he didn't kick out. And then after the match was over, he kind of popped up and like he was like all dazed and confused and kind of ran off.
And that's because the Ultimate Warrior apparently broke Randy Savage's arm. So this was payback from Savage, where he cold-cocked him with the scepter. And
yeah, he just. So then it was like kick out 1, 2, 3, and Sergeant Slaughter they were like, oh, okay, just go with it.
Yeah, everybody was like, everyone hated it. The fans hated it. But I mean, what were they supposed to do? That was Vince's rule.
Yeah,
Well, Vince ain't here no more. Guess what, guys? I mean,
like there's
there
a
was
lot.
no kayfabe here. Now you can
It was
tell. Oh well, why should I believe anything they say? Because they're just gonna bullshit and botch everything up.
bad. And to finish up the Cody story, Ted DiBiase gets back. Vince is furious, and Cody's like, "It wasn't me. It was fucking Ted. Like, go yell at Ted." So Ted is walking back. Ted DiBiase Jr. is walking backstage, and basically he knows that Vince is going to be furious. So he walks up right in Vince's face and like, "It wasn't my fault. It was the fucking referee's fault." And he's like right up here with Vince, and Vince is like, he put his headset back on, sat back down, and didn't say anything else. And everybody started laughing. He said something about how the referee fucked me, or I want to fuck the referee. It was something weird that he said. He got into Vince's face and like said something weird, and Vince was like,
Well, that's why that
"Yeah,
guy didn't stick around too long.
this fucker's crazy. Let me put my headphone back on. Let me sit down a gorilla and keep running the show." And everybody, he walked away. He didn't last long. I mean, he was there.
No. And then he
He
got
was,
in that scandal with his brother and
and
father,
that
where they
welfare
took all that
scandal
money from
in
the state of
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yeah, you
You can
rip
see
off.
why he didn't last long. It's kind of
Yeah.
like that Blackjack Mulligan and the Bobby. No, not Bobby Duncan Jr. No, what the hell is his name? Not Kelsey. Anyway, he was a brother of Barry Windham.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that. So, anyways, Damian
Kind of the
Priest
same thing.
he didn't kick out for whatever reason. It's just didn't kick out. I'm not sure if he forgot. I mean, there's some, like we said, there were some fans making excuses like, "Well, the music should have played. McIntyre's music was late." I was like, it can't be. The referee looked at the timekeeper and acted like he rolled his shoulder over when he didn't.
Right.
So Damian Priest fucked up horribly. I mean, it's one of the worst botches I've ever seen.
And I
I mean,
hope Triple H reams him a new one. Dude, you were supposed to kick out. Now they're at least attempting to get kayfabe back, but it looks like it's going to be a long day.
it's dead. I mean,
Because
then
nobody
after
believes it anymore.
like
Oh, he didn't kick out. Yeah, okay.
a few minutes later, McIntyre's music comes out. He cashes in. It's a triple threat match. It's like, okay, so then he starts beating
Lazy
up.
booking.
He starts beating up McIntyre, Seth Rollins, and Damian Priest, and then
Because what
he
did that
hits
guy
his,
say when McIntyre came out and it became a triple threat match? Now it's a DQ match or no DQ
no
match.
DQ.
Lazy booking.
Yeah, it was a no DQ match because triple threat matches in WWE are no DQ automatically.
Right.
So
Automatically.
yeah,
Lazy booking.
so yeah, McIntyre hits his finish on Damian Priest, and then it looks like he's gonna win. It's like, and then the
Here
fans
comes
start going
Punk.
crazy,
Here comes Punk.
and like, oh, here comes Punk. And I instantly knew
I
the
went,
fans were
where's
going
Punk
nuts.
at?
Yeah,
Punk can't let this go.
no, because he specifically said, as long as I'm around, Drew McIntyre never be world champion. So
Right.
he had to keep his word. So it's like he's around, and he beat him up and
That's
hit
why
him in the
nothing
head.
happened during the match where Drew McIntyre
Mhm.
won the Money in the Bank, but
Yeah.
then he wasn't going to let him, beat
He
Damian Priest. Hey, I
he
said it. I didn't
he
say Judas
wanted
Priest.
he wanted McIntyre to have hope, so he didn't screw him over in the Money in the Bank match.
Right.
He waited until he cashed in to screw
And
him
here comes Punk. I kept thinking, where the hell did he come from?
over. Yeah, so he starts beating up McIntyre. He bangs him in the table a few times, and then he grabs the belt and nails him in the head.
And nails him. Yeah. What
And
did you see that belt? It looks oogly.
it's
That's
the it's
not
it,
the belt I once
it
knew.
it's a play on the old WCW big gold belt.
Oh, are
It's
you
like a
kidding
version of
me?
that. It's like a version of that, but
Guys,
smaller and with
WCW's
the
dead and gone. Let's leave it that way.
Triple H is kind of a mark for WCW stuff
Are you
because
serious?
he brought back
sucked in WCW.
yeah, but he brought back War Games and he's bringing back Super Brawl because WWE has filed a trademark for Super Brawl. So yeah, they're probably going to bring back Super Brawl soon. So yeah, so he's kind of a mark for WCW stuff, So
Oh, is that why
him,
I couldn't use War Games and when I tried to promote because it was trademarked? No wonder.
yeah, you can't.
Thanks, Triple H, you bitch.
Yeah, he brought back War Games in NXT, and now that he's the main booker, now it's in Survivor Series War Games. That's a new pay-per-view
That was
name.
in our day. It was called World War III. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
That was when they had the 3 rings with the cages.
Yeah, what am I thinking of? Fall Brawl, probably.
Yeah, that's
So he's
War
bringing back Fall
Games.
Brawl,
No, he's bringing
which
back
was
Super
War
Brawl.
Games.
Super Brawl,
Oh, Super Brawl.
which is another pay-per-view
I thought
WCW
War
had.
Games was Fall Brawl.
No, War Games would happen on pay-per-views to wrap up, like, to blow off feuds between teams.
Okay.
So it wasn't. It
Maybe
didn't
it
happen.
became Fall Brawl then, or
Yeah,
like a combination of Fall Brawl and World War
yeah.
Three.
It's yeah. I
Because
know
my newest
Dusty.
episode is World War Three, 97, Curt and Ric Flair.
They had that 3, but World War Three they had 3 rings with cages in
Yeah.
it, and like
Yep.
50, like 20, 30 dudes were each ring, which is impossible to film. I don't know
Ish,
how they
yeah.
filmed that.
Yeah. They had
It was
about 60
ridiculous.
guys. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was 3 rings, 60 guys.
how do you film that? I mean, I would be mortified. Like, I'm like,
In 97 they had 3 cameras. So that one camera would shoot ring 1, another camera would
Yeah, I
do
remember.
2, and then another camera would do ring 3.
That's mortifying. If I'm a director or something,
Yeah,
it's
I know.
like,
I could never find Curt. I'm like, Curt, where are you? Oh, he's in
yeah,
the back. God
it's
dang
like,
it.
it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna do 3 rings, 3 cages, 20 dudes each in it, and you got to film this and make it look rational.
Right. In
Oh.
96, it was the giant one. Of course, he was with the NWO. In 97, it was Scott Hall, who was in the NWO. I don't know who won 98 because I don't think I was watching at that point. But those are the first 2. But yeah, I just dropped WW3 pay-per-view. It was the Curt Hennig and Ric Flair match, which was right before War Games. So they called it War Games, not me.
Yeah, well, the War Games in
Or
WWE.
Battle Royal. They called it the Battle Royal because it wasn't just like the Royal Rumble over the top rope. I mean, if they pushed you out, you hit the floor, you were done.
Yeah.
So that's the only difference between the Royal Rumble and
the WWE. They have 2 rings
World War
together.
III.
They have 2 rings together, and they install like a big cage around both rings.
Yeah, that was Fall Brawl, or what they called War Games at the time.
Yeah.
Well, they called it War Games, but it was the pay-per-view was called Fall Brawl.
Yeah.
Because it was the NWO versus excuse me, the 4 Horsemen. And that's when Curt turned on Flair.
Dusty created that match, the War Games match, and
yes,
it was back in the 80s when he was booking for Jim Crockett. They started doing War Games then. So,
but they called the pay-per-view Fall Brawl.
Yeah. So
back in the day, yeah.
So anyways, Damian Priest just, quite frankly, buried himself as world champion.
Oh boy!
I mean, he retained his belt, but
there's no coming back from that big botch. I mean, it's like, I don't believe it. I don't believe anything you're telling me. Because they literally didn't count 3.
He didn't kick out, and then it just didn't. It was a clusterfuck. It just fell apart.
It just all fell apart.
Because I'm sure Damian this is his first world title run, so this is his first opportunity on top, and he just shit the bed there to the point where
completely.
I don't. Horrible. They got to take this belt off him. Probably at SummerSlam when he faces Gunther. But they got to take this belt off him.
Yeah, they did show a little bit of a package thing there with Gunther.
For Gunther. Mm-hmm.
That was good. I actually heard Gunther talk for the very first time. I was like, "Holy crap, that's what he talks like."
Yeah, he has like a Austrian German type accent, So
yes. So, I was like, okay.
They got to get this belt off him. I thought, when even though I was happy for him, back when at WrestleMania when D was here and stuff, we were both Puerto Rican. Like, hey, Puerto Rican world champion, great. Let's see what happens. And
I thought Damian Priest was black.
No,
he's Puerto Rican? Hey, that's even better. I mean, at least he looks like a wrestler.
Yeah, he does, but it's I don't know how you recover.
But he made a little bit of a mistake, and now, unfortunately, Triple H might have to take it off of him because he kind of botched it pretty bad. Like, no one's going to believe any of this stuff anymore.
Yeah, you gotta get it off him and maybe forget about this.
Yeah. I mean, can I honestly say I thought this was going to be like another screw job, like a double cross. That's what I thought this was. Maybe like the ref was in on it on Seth Rollins. All I kept thinking was, oh my God, they're going to do the same thing to Brett. Or I mean, that they did to Brett. I was like, it was just a botch. Oh, thank the goddess.
It was just a horrible mistake.
It was a
botch
horrible
by
mistake, and
Damian
I'm like,
Priest.
oh, good, because I don't know Seth Rollins. I don't like Seth Rollins, but I'm pretty sure I don't want what happened to Brett to happen to him.
He just signed a contract extension, so I don't see WWE screwing him for real. And that's something Vince would do. It wasn't. I don't know. Hunter would screw somebody like that for no reason.
Yeah, but if you remember, Hunter said that he would have done the same thing Vince would have done when it came to Bret Hart.
Well, yeah, and I do know he did say that, and so did Jim Cornette. Quite frankly, that's why it was his idea. You know, I mean, it was like just screw him, Vince. You know, I mean,
I mean, God damn it, Bill. Sorry, God damn it, Vince. It's your belt. Double cross him. That's what I thought at first. I thought, oh no, they're gonna double cross Seth Rollins. Oh no, like the referee's in on it and everything, and then I was like, oh, it's just a mistake. Oh shit.
It was a
Here I am
terrible
thinking, like,
mistake.
conspiracy theory,
And then what saved it was
mundane.
CM Punk screwing over McIntyre and Rollins.
That had to happen. I was just like, at first, and it was all like, CM Punk, because they were screaming it at McIntyre the whole time.
Yeah.
So it had to happen like this.
Damian Priest was already an afterthought heading into this match. It wasn't about him. It was about McIntyre and Punk and Rollins.
Did you see McIntyre at the post show? He's got like, I'm like, no, this is exactly what they want. This is what they want. This makes good entertainment, people.
I didn't see it live, but I saw it on X after.
Yeah, I saw it on X too.
And it was because this is like right after in their post show, in their press conference. Yes. McIntyre ran up and was furious.
Oh, he was pissed.
And he, Adam Pearce, the GM, tried to grab him. He elbowed him, and got him right in the face. And he was going after one of the broadcasters. And
and Wade Barrett good entertainment, guys. This is what we're talking about. This is why WWE is so hot. Just like Triple H said, we are so hot right now. Yes, he is correct on that.
Yeah,
because this is good storytelling. This is, except for the botch, this is what we came to see, or what we would have paid for if we didn't have.
What's worse,
Peacock.
What's worse is WWE replayed the botch
over and over again. I'm like, no, stop.
Yeah, usually what
you don't want to highlight the bad part.
If Vince was in charge, they would just not replay it. I mean, they would just ignore it and just keep going. And then Vince would yell at him backstage. Gotten it
from Vince. He would have gotten it.
Oh yeah!
When the hell did you count 3? He's the dumb fool who didn't get out or kick out. Excuse me.
Yeah, so they replayed it 2 or 3 times and made it even more obvious he didn't kick out. It's like did Hunter was like, fuck, I'm gonna bury this fucking guy. Just replay it again. Show how you didn't kick out.
Right. I'm sorry, Damian Priest, but you dumb fucked up. You dumb fucked up.
Yeah,
let's get better next time and not have that happen, okay?
For now, I'm not saying he's buried permanently, but he should, take the belt off him 6 months. People forget about this, and then maybe stick him back in the main event later, because fans forget stuff pretty easily.
That's true.
For the most part. So for now, this is like a big botch, and people are talking about it. But if you take the belt off of him and maybe do some other things with him, and people forget about this, maybe
right.
Maybe you can stick him back up there later, but for now, he at SummerSlam, like Gunther needs to beat him.
Situation at this point.
Just get out of it. And he retained. I mean, he looked disappointed, like, oh fuck, like he knew he fucked up, and it's like.
But he came out on top. Okay, let's go to the next thing, and we'll just say that you dumb fucked up. But I mean, people actually might have forgotten about it with the whole Punk and McIntyre thing, because that was exciting. I was like, oh shit, it's Punk.
Yeah. So
where did he come from? And actually, that's what the commentator said. Where did he come from? And I went, he came from his mother.
Yeah, he he came from the audience, because there's a pathway that WWE sets up where it's right next to the commentary booth. So there's like a little pathway there where the ring announcers at. They come. There's usually a tunnel like where the audience is at, and that's why you hear the pop, because they see him.
Chef's kiss.
They see him
awesome.
before it's on camera, so it's like, oh.
I went, holy shit, it's Punk.
Yeah, and that's
He's
what they
did.
Now it's interesting to see what they will do. McIntyre and Punk's gonna have their match. What Seth Rollins gonna do? Is he gonna screw Punk and beat, and McIntyre will get that win, and then they'll move on to Punk
That's the
Rollins?
great storytelling that they're
Yeah, that,
doing.
mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Chef's kiss.
yeah.
All right, so you want to go on to the next thing that I did not watch because I don't like
Uh-huh.
watching titties bounce around because I got my own titties to bounce around, okay?
Yeah, so this is the women's ladder match, Money in the Bank ladder match. Tiffany Stratton defeated Chelsea Green, Io Sky, Lyra Valkyria, Naomi, and Zoe Stark. This match
Yeah,
sucked.
goody for her.
Oh, this match sucked because there were multiple. Zoe Stark in particular tried to do a flippy move on top of another girl that was on top of the ladder, and she totally missed her and busted her ass right in like a foot in front of the ladder. And the other girl
Don't do
sold
shit you
it.
can't do.
The other girl sold it like she got hit.
Oh, jeez.
Just brutal.
Another botch there.
Yeah, it was just brutal. That's the only thing I
Don't
remember
do
from.
shit you can't do, chickies.
That's the only thing I remember from this match because it was that bad. It was that stuck out to me as horrible, but
Right.
unfortunately, yeah, it's just. And then the girls bring out tables, which wasn't in the men's match, but they bring out tables and set up furniture while all the other girls were down. One girl, what's her name? Chelsea Green, setting up furniture. Every other girl's out and selling. Why is she not getting in the ring and trying to win the match? I don't know. But yeah, she's setting up furniture, and then eventually she gets attacked, and she lost her chance to win. And
hey, ladies, psst, come here.
It's just stupid.
Don't do shit you can't do, okay? And you don't need furniture and ruin your careers and break your arms and legs, okay?
And then at the end of the match to finish, Chelsea Green is on top of the ladder with Tiffany Stratton, and Tiffany shoves the ladder. So she's on top of the ladder, the other girl, and she takes a bump from the ring on top of the ladder through 2 tables on the floor.
Yeah, I saw that on X.
It was just a ridiculous bump that she took.
I was like, oh, come on, really? Do we got to do this stupid shit from the 90s that got so overdone?
Yeah, it was one
and now
of those.
They're doing having chicks do it.
Yeah,
like, that makes any difference,
Yeah, it's just silly. It was just a needless bump just to get the holy shit chance. And then, Tiffany won the match.
This is awesome. I'm like, guys, this is not awesome. This is like a murder scene.
The ladder matches
of all their careers.
Today's ladder matches are just the spot fests that they are. Even WWE, AEW is worse, but in even WWE, they do spots. That's all they do.
And it's not like you're taking a bump on a ring. A ring is somewhat soft. A ladder is not. Mm-hmm. And again, if these ladies and these men want to have long careers in wrestling, this is not where it's at, guys. You're not going to have a long career if you keep taking these bumps on these ladders or tables or chairs or etc. Oh my,
Yeah, and it's like a crutch to these people, especially the younger generation, where they need to reach for a weapon or something, especially in these ladder matches, because Scott Hall and Shawn Michaels had arguably one of the best matches I've ever seen in the first ever ladder match that WWF did at WrestleMania 10.
Right, but now they're doing these ladder matches, these table matches, and chair matches. Literally, they were overdone in the 90s. I didn't like them one bit because in my day, the wrestlers I grew up with didn't need tables, ladders, and chairs. They just had wrestling moves and wrestling holds that they would do, and then they won the match.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that.
Yeah, like I said on X last night, I think the Money in the Bank concept is kind of passé. It's been 20 years. Been started in WrestleMania 21, and it's been around ever since in one form or another. And, Triple H doesn't really book Money in the Bank winners really good. Look what he did to Austin Theory. He completely buried him before he lost.
I never saw that.
Damian Priest forgot. I forgot that he was Money in the Bank for months after he won it. So
yeah, and then you just kind of forgot about it because something else was happening.
He did nothing with him for months as Money in the Bank, and then at WrestleMania he cashes in and becomes champion. Like, oh, okay. And
then he botches something really big that could be fatal to him, at least his career. If he honestly, I would not be surprised if Triple H was so mad that he takes the belt off of Damian Priest and pushes him back down the card. That would be burying him.
He's gonna have to slip back down the card for a bit because people got to forget it's like a bad taste in your mouth. You got to
It's
get
like
that
Triple
bad
H
taste.
when that whole the curtain call, yeah.
Yeah. And Vince wouldn't punish Shawn because Shawn's a champion. Nash and Hall were leaving, so he couldn't do anything to
Couldn't
them.
punish them.
So
Hunter was
Hunter
the
got it.
one left hanging in the bag. Yep.
He got it. He had to get beat for a year by the Godwins and do like hog pen matches.
Hog pen matches. I remember that because Triple H kept getting up and then falling back down.
Yeah,
Getting back up and falling back down.
He kept getting beat by the Godwins, and it's like, yeah, you knew what was going on at that point.
So now I wouldn't be surprised if Damian Priest, sorry, but you botched. But he wasn't the only botch of the night. So now we get to the main event, guys. I actually did watch this. I just didn't watch the entrances because they took too fucking long. I'm like, skip. Come on, let's get to the wrestling.
The Bloodline entered together, but the baby faces all had their own entrances. It took forever.
Yeah, it took forever. I'm just like, come on, Cody, go to the ring already. Go.
So, but
let's get the show on the road.
Cody's was the longest, and it usually is the longest entrance since.
I get it. He's the top baby face. He's also the champion. I get that because Hogan's were pretty long too, but Hogan's were more longer at the end when he would pose for the audience. That took for fucking ever. I'm like, Hogan, okay, leave.
Cody's entrance took forever. There were 2 sets of pyros that he usually has, which happened last night. The one in the entrance and then the second one in the ring. Where the part where whoa, and he does this and second pyro.
Yeah, and the whole crowd. I was surprised. The whole crowd is singing his entrance music.
Yeah,
that would be like if the whole crowd was singing "Rap is Crap," which I think they did once or twice. But anyway, I digress. It was kind of cool, but
WCW was a Southern territory, so not surprising. We'll get to the main event, but I don't understand how WCW thought that the redneck Texas whatever that group was, whatever that group was, how they would be the
West
heels.
Texas Rednecks.
Yes, thank you. I don't understand. I thought they would be the heels. WCW is a Southern territory. That's where it came from.
That's right. Yeah, and that's where I say like the whole
against the Master P group. Yeah.
Right, shoving the whole cake in Curt's face. None of the baby faces, the people who thought that the West Texas Rednecks were baby faces, none of them like that. That's why the crowd's standing there going, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, because
what are we watching?
They were pushing the Texas Rednecks, whatever, as heels. Even
West Texas Rednecks, yeah.
Yes.
And that's what they sort of were, but then like they have to remember that people actually didn't like rap. There were people out there that just like country music.
And the South, WCW was a Southern territory by its nature,
right?
So a lot of people in the South don't like rap. I mean, it's like they rather listen to country, which is why I guarantee you that was a Russo thing, because Russo was booking then, wasn't he? It was 99 or something, right?
I think that was still Eric Bischoff. I don't know. I have to see, because once Hogan axed it. Then
it could have been Kurt, Bischoff, because
Bischoff was with with Russo and the Harris twins.
Yeah, so that I'm pretty sure that was a Russo thing. Who thought, well, these country guys are obviously the heels because nobody likes country in the Northeast, where he's from New York. So,
well, there's people in New York who still like country or who like country.
I know, but
country's everywhere. But then so is rap.
In Russo's head, it was like they're the heels and bro, and Master P and his group are baby faces, even though it was the exact opposite when they actually put it on TV. But
those soldiers, soldiers, were not wrestlers. Barry Windham said they were stiff as shit.
Like, why?
I don't know. Curt never talked bad about anybody, so it's kind of hard to get from Curt.
Find some big black guys that are actually wrestlers. Like, why would you just stick random dudes in there who never done this?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it was just Russo's way of saying, let's fuck Curt and And well, see, the reason why I say I think it was Bischoff because Hogan axed it. So Hogan
Yeah.
still had sway, and I think he left when Russo came in. Hogan left, I think.
Hogan took time off when Russo came in, and then came back late '99 because he had to do the Bash in the Beach 2000 disaster, which was we'll talk about in another episode. But he was there in Bash in the Beach 2000, which was Hogan's last appearance in WCW before he got
Right.
fired.
So I think because Hogan axed the whole West Texas Rednecks, because Hogan was jealous of Curt Hennig. He had been and follow me down the rabbit hole, if you will. In '89, he said that Curt was not in his league. Bullshit. Curt breathed and lived and breathed the business. He was second generation. He knew the business better than Hogan did.
He said that
So
Brett too. So
yeah, he said Brett was not in his league. So, and these are two gentlemen, Curt Hennig and Bret Hart, who literally lived, breathed, and shit the business. They knew the business like the back of their hand. They could probably wrestle in their sleep. They've forgotten more moves than Hogan ever knew in his whole fucking career. So let's put it that way. Okay. So this is not the first time that Hogan axed or was jealous of Curt Hennig. He was jealous because Curt could show him up in the ring. Because if you watch those Hogan matches with him, Curt is killing it because he's jumping around and he's making the babyface look great. And
yeah.
it all comes to a head, and then Hogan acts the whole damn thing. Well, I'm not going to lose to him because he's not in my league. That pissed Curt off, and rightfully so.
Yeah,
So
Bret
he
Hart
never
also.
really, yeah, and it would
I
piss
love Bret.
Bret Hart.
Bret gives zero fucks. I mean, he will attack anyone and everyone in wrestling. I mean, he doesn't care. And and I understand
Right.
why he's bitter. I mean, look what happened to him at the end of his career. Vince screws him, and then Goldberg ends his career. But I understand why
And
he's bitter.
I understand why Curt took it out on himself. Why he kind of ended it, why he self-deleted, because again, he went back thinking Vince was going to give him a shot now that Hogan wasn't really in it. And the whole thing just kind of came to a head. Yeah.
The last run, Hogan did come back though. I think because Hogan was back in 2002.
I don't remember Hogan in 2002
Yeah,
when
when the
Curt came back.
NWO. Yeah, they were all
Oh,
there.
that's right. Yeah, but I mean, Hogan didn't have enough sway in what Curt did.
By
And he wasn't on the plane
2002
ride from hell.
No, Hogan wasn't because he wasn't on that European tour.
But see, Vince had done the same exact thing with Kurt Angle, and Curt Hennig paid the price for it. Not Brock Lesnar, not anybody else. Like Ric Flair, who showed his dinghy to people who didn't want to fucking see it.
No, Ric Flair didn't either.
Curt Hennig paid for that.
Vince wanted to make Brock into the next big thing, which he did. Which was his nickname, by the way, next big thing. But
yeah, I didn't like Brock Lesnar.
Like that. But yeah, dude. And then Vince respected Flair because he's a legend, so he wasn't, oh, you got drunk and showed off his thing. Okay, I've done that before myself.
That's called sexual assault.
Yeah, but that didn't bother.
Because not everybody. I mean, it's called assault.
Yeah, that didn't bother.
Not everybody
Vince.
Wants to see your junk.
That didn't bother Vince because he's probably done similar things. So
yeah, I know.
Whatever.
But the one who paid for that was Curt Hennig.
Yeah, which I thought was
Kurt,
bullshit
so
too.
anybody is junk.
All right. Well, the main event, the Bloodline defeating Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton by pinfall.
Yeah, so, and there was another botch in this one too.
Oh yeah, it was a
like how the fuck
one.
Can you botch that up? Come on, you're second generation, dude.
So. Yeah, ultimately, the whole point of the match was to get Solo Sikoa to pin Cody Rhodes to set up the main event at SummerSlam for the world title. But there was a horrible botch in this match. Tongaloa, I call him the Bloodline's butler, is what he looks like. He has the butler suit on.
Yeah.
Because he can't. Anyways, Tongaloa came into the ring and tried to attempt to give Kevin Owens a low blow.
Yeah.
He failed.
And he missed.
He missed.
Oh, you missed.
I've never seen someone miss a low blow in like 30 years watching wrestling.
The first time and then going, I missed. Yeah, but he tried to come back and do it again. I'm like,
well, Kevin Owens didn't sell it because I guess he didn't feel it. That was kind of a thing, like why would he did? Because Here's the setup. I would love to show this, but I can't, unfortunately, because of copyright. But
Yeah, of course.
Kevin Owens has Tama Tonga here in a power bomb position.
Yes.
He blatantly looks back to see where Tonga Loa is at. It's like, okay, he's coming, so let me try to set up this move in order for him to give you a low blow. He missed. He didn't sell it because he didn't know that he got hit. So like he had to come back and do it again, and that's when he sold it. It's like
it was like it was bad. It was bad, guys. Can I ask a question? So the werewolf,
Jacob Fatu, yeah, the werewolf.
all right,
What about?
he is whose son is he again? Rikishi's?
I think J. I have to look it up, but I think hold on.
Because the other guy is.
Hold on. Oh, no, he's not Rikishi's son. He's the Tonga kid's son.
Tonga kid. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's the Tonga kid's son.
Yeah.
The other guy was Haku's son. Yes.
Yeah.
The other guy that was wrestling.
Yeah,
with the werewolf?
Tonga and Tonga Loa are both like Haku raised them. They're not really his kids.
Oh, by blood.
Yeah, he raised them. So
okay.
But yeah, technically by blood, that's their uncle.
Okay.
Haku is their uncle, not really their father,
Okay.
but
So did Haku have any children? Blood children?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, he was a badass dude, let me tell you.
Oops.
Everybody remembers Haku, and
Yeah.
a lot of newer viewers won't remember, but Haku was so badass. He actually was tag team. He was a colossal connection with Andre the Giant. This is how badass he was.
And Andre was kind of scared of him too.
Oh my god, everybody was scared of him, and he was called Meng in WCW. And
WCW,
who was talking? They said they accidentally hit Meng in the eye, and he apologized for this person hitting him in the eye because he went really deep in, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so," and Meng's like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I botched that up." I was like, "Oh my god, seriously." Seriously? This guy was like a badass.
Yeah, he was legit. I mean, there's stories. Haku had a match with Brutus Beefcake one time, and Brutus went to the office to complain that Haku hit him too hard. And Haku was like, "Oh yeah." So he went to the locker room, confronted Brutus, and grabbed him like this by his neck and had him up here.
That throat thing.
Yeah, and he had him up here with 3 fingers. And all the boys were like, they were scared to death.
You didn't fuck with.
You were scared to death. So they went to get Hogan because he respected Hogan. So,
Haku respected Hogan, of course.
Yeah. Because so he went to Hogan, and Hogan went, all right, come on, brother, put him down. He's sorry. It's okay. He put him down, and Brutus nearly was dead by the time Hogan got there.
I heard stories. Who were we just watching that told the story of the Samoans? You didn't want to bunk with the Samoans because they snored like a son of a bitch. It was like they saw the wood. The guy said, "Oh, Maven, I think." Maven said he. I just was in passing watching Maven. Yeah, the guy who won Tough Enough.
Yeah,
the second time I think
he has actually a really good podcast.
Yeah, I watched do wrestlers, and then he would pull it off, and I was like, "Wow, is that really true?" He said he was with some Samoans. He said he literally was out in the hallway, and he could still hear these guys sawing wood. He said, "Don't ever bunk with Samoans because they snore like a son of a bitch."
Yeah. So there was another story when Haku went to WCW and became Meng. He was there from when Hogan got there in '94 to 2001.
Yep.
And they were like, they asked Eric Bischoff, why didn't they ever fire Haku? It was honestly, none of us had the balls to do so. Because they're all scared of him too.
Yeah, he's a big dude. And you didn't fuck with the Samoans. Let me tell you what.
It's at least Eric Bischoff was honest. Honestly, none of us had the balls
who are
to
we
fire
watching?
him.
I think it was Harley Race said that The Rock's grandfather, Chief Maivia, would eat people. Like someone said something to him one time. Guy comes up to him. He was like waiting for his wife and his daughter or whatever, and someone said something to him, and he's literally biting the guy. There's like chunks in this guy's chest because he's eating. I'm like, oh my god, I would lose it. I would.
Oh, Haku bit off somebody's nose. It's another
I didn't know
story
that. No,
yeah,
I'm
yeah, in a
not
bar,
surprised.
because somebody talked shit about him and
Yeah.
disrespected wrestling, which you didn't do with Haku. You didn't disrespect the business. So
No, you
he
didn't.
grabbed this guy and just bit off his nose. Like he had his nose. Oh no, it was his ear. I'm sorry, it was his ear. He had his ear like.
Oh my
And
gosh. Yeah, you
it was
didn't
just
mess with the Samoans.
no.
I don't know about
Even
now, but you didn't mess with them then. I'd be
so,
like, no, that's okay. I'll be over here. I don't be eaten by the Samoans. Ew.
so yeah, Jacob Fatu, his father is a Tonga kid who used to travel with
Jimmy
Superfly.
Snuka.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Superfly. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole
In
cover
fact,
up thing.
yeah, to this day, the Tonga kid swears that Superfly didn't do anything. That he was there. He's totally loyal to Jimmy Snuka, which I understand, but at the same time, it's like you weren't
But
there.
there was a big cover up, yeah.
Yeah, you weren't there. I mean, no
There
matter what
is-
you say.
There's things that were not said that Vince McMahon was responsible for. Like
No,
there was
yeah,
a meeting there was a closed door meeting between Vince and these investigators, and they stopped
Jim,
investigating after that.
before we wrap up, Jimmy talks about that in his book.
Does he? I never
yeah,
read the book.
yeah, because he didn't write it himself because he couldn't read. But yeah, I mean,
I didn't know that.
I think he's illiterate. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't know English, or he knew English, but he couldn't read it. Or
Oh.
was it either Jimmy or oh no, Iron Sheik was illiterate. He couldn't read. I do know that, but I'm pretty sure Jimmy couldn't either. But I digress. Jimmy wrote this in his book how Vince and the police and the prosecutor had the meeting, and Vince came out of the office and said, "Oh, you don't have to worry about that anymore."
Yeah,
Jimmy.
you don't have to worry about that anymore. They said that on the documentary about the Dark Side of the Ring about Jimmy Snuka.
And that's how Jimmy left it, and they never spoke of it again.
They never spoke of it again.
Vince is like, "That's it. You don't have to worry about it. We don't talk about this again." He's like, "Okay," and he worked for Vince for years after that until like the late '80s.
Yeah.
When he had the incident on the turnpike. Was it him or was it Hacksaw and Iron Sheik?
It was Hacksaw and Iron Sheik that got arrested for pot.
Oh yeah, in the turnpike. So that wasn't Jimmy.
So they got fired, but then they let him back in.
Yeah, eventually
they
they hired him.
Fire the Iron Sheik. I mean, he was brilliant. He was brilliant.
Yeah. So
Haktua.
Yeah,
and he's making Mean Gene laugh. That was original Haktua.
Yeah.
Was the Iron Sheik.
Yeah, Kevin, Randy. So yeah, Tongaloa. Apparently he sucks. Like there is there's compilations of him and before he came to WWE, and he was terrible then. So I don't know. That's why they probably stuck him as the Bloodline's butler and have him in that suit, because that's what I call him. He's not the butler, but that's why he looks like a butler, which is why I call him that. But
the other thing I noticed is whenever like one baby face would be stuck in the ring and he needs to tag, the other baby faces were nowhere to be found. Like they disappeared. Like where'd they go? To freaking Africa?
Towards the end,
where'd they go?
Here comes Tongaloa to knock off Randy Orton from the apron before Kevin Owens can tag him.
Well, that's one thing, but I mean, it's like one baby face would get up on the apron, someone would knock them down, and then they disappeared. No one ever would see them again. Yeah, that's not good wrestling, guys.
That's the issue with modern wrestling, guys. Especially in these like 6-man tags,
What they do? Fuck off and go to Cleveland? I mean, I don't understand.
They disappear. They disappear until the next time they're needed in the match. Instead of, it's just stupid, and I can't get over that botch low blow. I mean, it's like it's just gonna go viral. Everybody went viral and it'll continue going viral. I mean, it's one of those things where it probably won't go away.
And they kept doing moves like they're gonna do a pedigree. Did you check that with Triple H? Kevin Owens does the Stone Cold Stunner. Did he okay that with Steve Austin?
Oh no, yes. I know Kevin Owens okay.
And he was stopping that mud hole. You know how Austin would stop the mud hole in the person?
Yeah.
He did it like 3 times. I'm like, you okayed this with Stone Cold, but don't do it too often. Austin only did it on once a match.
Yeah.
Stop doing it 3 or 4 times. it gets old after a while. It's like, oh, he's stopping a mud hole in him again.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that wasn't good. The match itself was bleh. Cody.
Right.
I mean, Cody got beat in order to set up that match next month at SummerSlam, and the pay per view was again. I mean, I
It was
saw I saw the cage match rating. People were sharing that. Oh, it got a 5 on cage match. It was horrible. We knew it was horrible. It's like AEW fans are obsessed with cage match and their ratings. It's like I don't think WWE cares. The pay per view drew money, and it told the stories you needed to tell for next month, and that's it.
They drew way more than AEW has ever in their lifetime. And AEW will never surpass WWE ratings. They haven't so far, and doesn't look like they're gonna.
No, unfortunately, they lost their chance to be competitive because they're too busy.
And now what they have is just shit. Like I said, that guy last night came out. He looks like a 12-year-old midget.
Yeah, and
That's not a wrestler, guys.
You got to pop,
That's
and the fans, like the dwindling crowds they have, love this guy. So
even though I like Zach Gowen, that was a Zach Gowen right there. A guy with one leg and no meat on his bones.
What's funny is he looked good. I swear that's not what I meant to say. He sold really well. What Brock nearly killed him multiple times. I mean, he's working with Brock a lot for the W. Vince put him in title matches against Brock. That's how over he was at one point. It's like he never won. Obviously, he's a one-legged dude, but
yeah, he was one-legged dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Brock beat the crap out of this kid over and over again. every night they would be on the road, and Brock would
I think that's why I don't like Brock Lesnar, because I did like Zach Gowen, McGowan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Zach McGowan.
Yeah, that was his name.
I did like him, and that's probably why I hate Brock. Not to mention the fact that Brock Lesnar is like, oh, I think about Curt Hennig all the time. Yeah, so do you. Go fuck yourself. No, you don't. Because if you really actually listen to what Curt Hennig said, you wouldn't do half the shit you did.
Yeah, I don't know the type of relation they were that close. I mean, allegedly Brock
worked out a couple times.
Yeah, he thinks about him all the time. Like
Curt Hennig trained him. Yeah, that's what he told everybody. I don't know if Brock started that rumor or somebody started the rumor that Curt trained him. No. They worked out a couple times. He was trained by somebody else.
Yeah, he was trained by Jim Cornette in OVW. That's where he got his training.
Yeah. So, I mean...
So it wasn't Curt Hennig, so...
No. And he's like, oh, I think about Curt all the time because Curt said, don't be a lifer. Well, that's because Brock Lesnar was bitching about being on the road, just like Jim Cornette said. He didn't want to be on the road. Well, then Curt looked at him and said, well, then you don't want to be a WWE lifer.
Don't be a lifer then in this
business. Don't be a lifer
if you don't want to be on the road.
Make your money and get the fuck out.
Yeah. Which is what he did. He went to UFC and became a superstar, and then he kept
coming back in. He kept coming back in.
What happened was
he can't because of the whole scandal with him and this Janelle Grant.
He had diverticulitis and was forced back into wrestling in 2012 when he first came back, and he's been in and out ever since. But I suspect he'll be back soon. I mean, Triple H recently said, well, he's not fired. He's just doing his thing for now.
You actually think that they're going to bring him back after that whole Janelle Grant thing?
Well, that lawsuit's kind of dead now, as we know, because they've dropped it kind of until the criminal investigation is over.
Oh, they're not going to find anything.
Yeah, so by the time that lawsuit comes back, everybody will have forgotten about it. So I suspect at some point we'll see Brock again.
I hope not. I hate that dude.
Once people forget about what happened with the Janelle Grant thing.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I just didn't like the fact that Brock said that because it sounded like ingenuine. Or it sounded like Curt really was like trying to, teach him things. And I don't think Brock ever he didn't learn the lesson. When he went out for football, I laughed at him because he couldn't make it. Bad cookies. I'm going to come over there.
Yeah, we were about to wrap up, and luckily, thank you for the comment. But yeah, I mean...
Bad cookies, I will come over there and knock you out.
Jim Cornette, before we got to wrap up, but before, here's a strong word, Mrs. Perfect. Use it more.
This is... Wait,
what? What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Cornette tells the story about how Brock nearly hurt his
Is it
wife.
more?
You,
I
you
hate
heard the
Brock
story?
Lesnar and I hate Chris Jericho. Fuck them too. Okay,
You heard
sorry.
that story about Brock Lesnar hurt Jim Cornette's wife, and
Yes, because she had just gotten her
yeah,
pussy pierced.
yeah, she got new piercings, as Jim Cornette put it, down there, and because they were working, Brock and Shelton Benjamin working with her group, which was the
Yeah.
Disciples of Sin. It was her group and a couple of tag teams. So at the end of the match, Brock at most nights would have her up here and press slam her. For some reason, Brock decided to squeeze down there, where the new piercing for that, and she screamed out and
Yeah.
yelled, and
If Brock Lesnar had grabbed me by my vagina, he would have a vagina because after I was done with him, he'd have one.
thank you for the like back cookies. Yeah, I appreciate you coming in anyways. Yeah, then they get backstage and Jim Cornette like, what the fuck did you do? It was like, oh, I was an accident. I didn't mean to do it. And Stacy was like pissed off, and
Oh yeah, rightfully so.
eventually Brock told her, shut the fuck up, bitch. And that's when Jim was like, okay, you're not gonna tell my wife to shut the fuck up, because what I'll do, I'll grab my gun and I'll shoot you.
You could
And
do that.
Brock ran to Danny Davis like, "Oh, Jim Cornette threatened to shoot me." It's like, "Yeah, what he's threatening to do? You're not going to fight you. Look at you." Even back then, you're not going to fight Brock Lesnar.
Well, I'm a girl, so maybe Brock would take a little bit easier on me. But yeah, if you squeeze my vagina, guess what, Brock? You're gonna have one. Because you ain't gonna be touching me inappropriately or squeezing me inappropriately. Because guarantee you that if I was a wrestler, in wrestling, and you did that to me, oh, I'd knock you the fuck out. I am a tough chick when it comes to that, and I won't shoot you. I'll just knock you the fuck out or kick you in the balls. How about that, Brock Lesnar?
Yeah. So that story next week, because next week I'll just announce it here publicly. Next week, Indy asked me on Monday, like, "Oh, why don't you guys play more wrestling clips on your show?" And I'm like, "Well, copyright. I don't want
Yeah,
to ruin your
copyright.
channel or my
I mean,
channel."
unless we go to like
And
only
then
Rumble.
and then he suggested, why don't you do the second hour Rumble or something? I'm like,
Yeah,
why don't
yeah, we
we? I
can.
don't know. That's
Yeah,
why I was like,
I would
oh,
love to
why
do
why
wrestling
don't we
clips.
do that?
Yeah,
Yeah, so basically, probably starting next week we're going back on our regular time next week.
yes.
We'll probably do the second hour Rumble. So that link will be in the description next week. So we'll grab, you just click over in the second hour, and then we'll be able to have more freedom to play clips and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I would love to do that, but like I said, I just thought, YouTube was copyright, so we couldn't do that.
no, we can't.
But yeah, I would love to go over to Rumble because, I mean, no offense to YouTube, but fuck YouTube.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I wanted to announce that. I don't know how many people are watching right now, but we'll announce it again late during the week and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that'll do it for this episode. I mean,
So if I could just say one more thing, shameless plugs.
oh yeah. Before we wrap up,
On
yeah,
Black Magic
sure.
Talk, we have a lady that I saw on X. Her name is Reverend Alicia. We have her on tomorrow on Black Magic Talk. That will be dropped probably Tuesday. And I just want to let you guys know I did do the Curt Hennig takes Arn Anderson's spot. Now the NWO parody will only be on Rumble, so it'll be on Rumble. If you go to my Rumble and subscribe or follow me, you will be able to hear the Curt Hennig takes Arn Anderson's spot, and then you'll get to hear the NWO parody. I do it on Rumble because the NWO parody, even though people liked it at the time, there's a lot of people there's also a lot of other people who got butthurt over it. So
Yeah.
so nobody gets butthurt over it. It'll be on Rumble. I also go
Yeah.
on a 30-minute rant about, how I didn't like Arn Anderson. I didn't really like the Four Horsemen. I didn't like Ric Flair either. So
Yeah.
that will be a Rumble exclusive only.
Yeah. So starting next week, we'll probably do the second hour Rumble. So we'll be able
Yeah,
to
that would be much better.
we'll be reacting more to you could react to clips, and maybe we'll do watch along some matches, the Hennig.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah.
So that'll probably be next week. But thank for about Angel in the Afternoon is every Fridays at 7. I ever since yesterday when I did the Joe Biden episode where I've watched Joe Biden over and over again on the show on not yesterday, but on Sunday, Friday. Sorry. And
Friday.
I can't ever since then as I'm struggling to speak, it's like
Bleed, bleed, bleed. That's all, folks.
yeah. So that's why I paid the joke. I gotta stop watching Joe Biden because I cannot speak. And 2 days
Because of
later, I'm
him.
still kind of struggling to speak. So that's I'm getting it. All right.
You're
Well,
like,
yeah, great
holy
show in the
shit.
afternoon, Friday at 7. And then we have Pro Wrestling Talk will be on Saturday, normal time, 8 o'clock. The second hour will be on Rumble. So I have to do 2 separate streams, which is okay. I can do, but yeah, I mean, so I'll have to send you 2 separate links. So just be prepared for that. And yeah, that'll do it for now. I mean, anything